WHB, Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We'll get into some NFL football. We'll play some sports or leisure, have a little fun in the 1 o'clock hour. That's presented by Johnny's Tavern. Well, we will be giving away $25 to Johnny's Tavern coming up at 1 o'clock. So a little sports or leisure there. Briscoe will have the leisure, and you have now a 5-level same name or pun name game, or finish the thingy.
I did think of at least a good 3Z earlier that I was trying to decide if I want to ramp up that way or if I want to leave it as is. But yeah, it will be challenging, and also I can give you all sorts of recommendations because I've now been to Johnny's 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks. So I'm all about it, man.
Good for you, man. That's the right way to do it.
I don't just talk the talk. I also eat the meat.
Press F8 on that, Drake, if you will.
Presented by Johnny's Tavern.
Appreciate that. 913-912-4810 is the text line. So we'll do that in the 1 o'clock hour, sports or leisure. We'll talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast at 11 o'clock. Get his thoughts on what he would like to see tonight in preseason game number 3. Maybe like no injuries, right? Wouldn't that be the main thing that people would want to see, is like that there's no injuries tonight? Like, I feel like
you hate to see injuries.
That isn't talked about nearly enough in people's hopes and analysis of what they're paying attention to in preseason games. I feel like it should be addressed at a higher clip, so we like to make sure we get that out there.
Even with that as like a bit that has been running for us now since the dawn of training camp, whenever I saw the phrase Tyron Smith's hamstring tore and came off the bone, I cringed so hard that I traveled through time. Yeah. Every syllable of that is a nightmare. That was just during practice, by the way. That wasn't during a game. That could happen anytime. But
did you see the video of it?
Oh no, I haven't.
The thing is, though, it looks pretty benign.
Okay.
Like he's going to block Van Der Esch, Leighton Van Der Esch, or is it Vayton Landeresh?
It's one of the two.
So he's going to block him, the linebacker, and as he's getting there, Van Der Esch sort of turns to run after the running back, and Tyron Smith's left foot sort of slips. And so he almost does the splits, but there's a player kind of blocking it. So you can't see, like, does his knee buckle or anything like that. So people thought immediately, ACL, he just tore his knee, because he went down and he was holding his knee right when he went down. And I'm watching and I'm going, his leg was straight. Like, how is that I think he just hyperextended his knee. Like, right? Like, that's what I thought. Like, it was just a hyperextension. And I'm like, he might be out a week or two, but that's just a hyperextension. Not realizing that, when you stretch like that, you might hyperextend your knee, but then the hamstring is going to be put in a very stressful situation, and it just simply popped.
Came off the bone.
Yeah.
Came off the bone. If you hear that in any context other than barbecue,
exactly,
it's a horrible
just
phrase.
Fell right off the bone. It was amazing. Oh, man. We smoked those legs the other day, and just the meat came
no
right
one says they
off
smoked those legs.
The bone. It was great. Which leg? Tyron Smith's. Yeah. He's too bad for him. It's been low and slow for him.
That video, I don't like this fact about myself, but I will watch almost any injury video and then immediately regret it.
Well, that one I don't think it was all that. Like, we've seen, like, Napoleon McCallum. I'm not watching that video, right? I don't need to see Kevin Ware in college basketball. I don't need to watch those things. That one I watched, I thought, like, I was expecting, like, because when it happened, it was Tyron Smith just went down. He left the field. I'm like, oh, no. And you see it, and he goes down and holds his knee. I'm like, all right, let me see this again. And so, like, oh, I didn't really see much, but now you know when he fell what happened. So maybe with that information.
I think that's what it is for me, is what happens there. Yeah. And also this video is relatively far away, relatively blurry. You don't have the 4 different up-close replays.
Sort of grainy.
So, which, again, I am grateful for at the moment. Not.
See, I think having watched it before we know the injury, I felt a little.
It doesn't look so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't as, like, queasy, if you want to call it, but knowing that as he's falling and almost doing the splits, that hamstring just pops off the bone. And you're like, that is difficult. So, we've seen a couple of those in practice. The New York Giants lost their number 3 receiver yesterday to an Achilles tear in practice, and he was having an awesome season. Like, it was Tony and Sterling Shepard, and then it was him. Like he was going to be the guy. He's so good that I forgot his name.
Colin Johnson.
Thank you, Colin Johnson.
I knew that off the top of my head and wasn't just letting you flounder while I Googled it.
Fantastic. But he was like somebody who would just burst onto the scene. It was like, wow, he's been that good in camp, and he's being talked about by Brian Dable and in practice and all this other stuff. And he went and performed well in the preseason games, and he was really good in preseason game number 2 when Tony and Shepard were out. And he was the number 1 guy, and he performed. It was like, all right, this guy is gonna be one of the top 3 receivers on this team. And then that happens, which is really unfortunate when you are making a name and you're proving you belong and you're going to get an opportunity to really go out there as, one of the top 3 receivers for an offense that is supposed to look different with a new coach that's offensive-minded that did what he did with Josh Allen. And then that happens. It's just unfortunate. It happens throughout the league. And again, it's not said nearly enough. You just don't want the injuries. So we'll get in and talk about what we want to see tonight. I'll do that with Matt Lane and some other things as well. His latest 2 things at KC Sports Network were the stock watch of both the cornerbacks and the wide receivers. So 2 positions that I will be watching tonight yet again.
Colin Johnson, 5th-round pick a couple years ago. That's a hard path. And again, I did know that off the top of my head and wasn't looking it up while you were talking.
From?
Well, the Jags drafted him. I knew that, of course. But he
where did he
went
go to college?
Texas, which I also knew.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Everyone knew that. And then Texas is back. Here, this is a sort of a weird segue, but like as a little circle around, a little highlight, little underline on Jody Fortson, he was that guy. He was making some strides. He was working his way back. Injuries, position change, comes back again, regular season production. Injury. Now he's back again. Has the big preseason game over the weekend. Like that, I think about Jody Fortson on a daily basis, regardless, just to try to make sure I'm perfectly in line with Fort Season.
Yeah.
But it is yet another instance of him being a truly just tremendous story.
913-912-4810 at J810 Anderson. You can tweet, text the show either way to get in contact with us. Also, Twitch and Facebook and YouTube
and Twitter, and I think I got them all up today, even without Beards being. I should double check the YouTube, but I think I got us everywhere we need to be.
All right, very good. Yesterday it wasn't the case.
Yeah, the past is in the past. If you look in your rear view while you're driving, you're gonna crash eventually. So I don't like to dwell on yesterday. What I like to dwell on is that YouTube confirmed, Twitch confirmed, Facebook confirms. We're all good. Twitter, we're all here. Everybody's here today. Yesterday, might not have been on Facebook. Might not be sure why that happened.
It happens.
Might be all the places we need to be today, though.
No worries at all.
We made it.
There we go. Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock. Sports or Leisure, the 1 o'clock hour. A lot of stuff to get into today. I do want to start with, even though it's a Chiefs game tonight, and it is preseason game number 3.
Dress rehearsal, right? This is the big one. 3 quarters from the starters?
I think there's an expectation that Patrick Mahomes will not play tonight.
Oh.
I think there's a pretty decent expectation of that. So, another example of what the young kids have done with the Royals is that on a day where the Chiefs are wrapping up preseason, I do want to start with the Royals, although we started with Tyron Smith's hamstring. But really, like, into the show, let's start with the Royals and things we're going to talk about. With the win last night, salvaging the 2-game set against the Diamondbacks, splitting.
If you can't split the Diamondbacks,
yes. If you take the Diamondbacks 2-game set and the White Sox 1-game series, they took 2 of 3.
They absolutely did.
They won the 3-game series combined with the Whitebacks, the Diamond Sox.
That's good. I was trying to do Shizona, I think.
Okay, yeah.
The Shizona Whitebacks.
Okay.
That's pretty good. That sounds like a gorilla.
The Aracago Diamond Sox.
I think that's the winner.
Aracago Diamond Sox.
The Aracago Diamond Sox definitely sound like they would be a fictional, sci-fi baseball team.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm gonna write that down before I forget about it. I love the Aracago Diamond Sox. That's the best. That's the best fictional sports team we've come up with yet.
It's a TV show that wants to come up with different cities and names, and they do not have the copyright for or able to use any of the teams. Or apparently even cities.
Yep.
They're the best team in the American League.
Boom!
Thank you, Drake. Apparently not. They lost the series to the Royals, 2 of 3. And last night, we get, what did Witt go, 430? last night, 430 to left field. And then, what's his face? The cleanup hitter for the
Colin, the receiver from Texas.
That's right. Colin Johnson, the cleanup hitter for the Diamondbacks, goes 460 to center field off Barlow. You know it's a moonshot when the center fielder takes one step back and just stops and watches. That was Michael A. Taylor. And it lands on the sort of that Pepsi awning on the third level in center field. Like, that was unreal how hard he hit that thing. But it didn't matter because of the 8th inning with the Royals, and it also didn't matter because of the 7 innings for Brady Singer and what he did, giving up one mistake pitch. Like, one pitch that was a slider that was just a spinner. Just left in the middle of the plate, just didn't have the break on it. You throw one pitch that does that, and a guy puts a perfect swing on it, stays fair, wraps around the foul pole, 1/1000th of a second sooner that he swings and hits the ball. It wraps, foul, and we'll see what happens with Brady Singer, and maybe it's 7 innings and no earned runs. Either way, he gives up one. He gets the win. The Royals get the win, and last night was fun to watch. Again, the young kids play, and that bottom of the or top of the 7th with Brady Singer to the. Was it the 7th inning that they did that? Because he got the win, so it had
bottom
to be
of the 7th.
So it had to be bottom of the 7th when they did it.
Yep.
So that 7th inning, top of the 7th, with Singer going out there and getting a strikeout, a ground out, and a random can of corn to center. Mm-hmm. And then the Royals coming back in the bottom of the 7th inning. That was fun because you saw the glimpses, again, in one game, in one inning, of what could be in the future. That's what continues to make it exciting. But Brady Singer, it's not just exciting. Jeff Montgomery said yesterday Brady Singer has arrived. That was before last night's start. And, again, last night, 7 innings, 1 earned run.
It's hard to argue. I mean, again, the only blip on the radar anytime recently was sort of a fluky game where he got hit around a lot and was interrupted by rain for a little while. Like, that was... There is nothing to point to with Brady Singer right now and have any real doubt coming from anywhere. I'm going to say something incredibly obvious about Brady Singer last night. Do you know what makes one bad pitch a lot less punishing? Whenever all it does is take one guy all the way around the base paths. A solo home run just isn't that big a deal. That is a rare thing. It particularly feels like a rare thing for Royals pitchers. It feels I imagine the stats on this are not this extreme, but it feels like about 90% of the home runs the Royals have given up have been 2 or 3 run shots. It just feels like every time you look up, there's a 2, and now it's a 4-2 game. We go, okay, well now this thing's out of hand. But if you are working your way through one bad pitch that creates maybe it's one long double, maybe it's one solo shot. If you're keeping your work clean, one little blip like that is an absolute non-factor if your offense can give you anything. And we're at a point right now where, recent scoreless stretch notwithstanding, the young guys in this lineup have the capability of stringing together an inning like they did last night that then buys you the win, rewards your pitcher for keeping a clean sheet until that one exception on that bad pitch. And all of a sudden you're talking about Brady Singer winning another one.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in the game last night when you say that one bad pitch that's a solo shot that's not going to get you beat, as opposed to then in the bottom of the 7th, a pitch that was left over the plate that Brady Singer just destroys at 4:30 for a 3-run shot.
Wow, Brady Singer did everything last night.
Sorry, Bobby Witt just destroys it. What if Zach Greinke would have done that? Why can't Brady Singer hit like Zach Greinke? Come on.
I would not be opposed to letting more pitchers hit.
Bobby, I totally would never want to see another pitcher pitch again. That's fine.
It's just fun.
But Bobby Witt just hammering for a 3-run shot, and the game was essentially over at that point. It was 5-1. You're like, all right, I think the Royals can hold on. They've got a fresh Barlow, so even if he has to throw 2 innings, you hope he would be able to do that, even though last night he was not sharp. I would have liked to see Hernandez give up a run so that Barlow could come in there with a 5-2 game, because he is literally 1 save away. He's at 20. He needs 1 save.
Does he know he can't create his own save situation?
Exactly, right?
Maybe that's what he's thinking. Let's just work this a little bit.
Had I not watched the game last night, and I woke up and saw the Royals win 5-3 and Barlow pitched, I would have been like, heck yeah, 1, there it is, lock it up, and I am not paying for lunch. The ZOUs, I am good. It's going to be what is pacing for Beards and Mick to split the lunch for me and you eating on behalf of Corey.
I'll do that. I'll eat on Corey's behalf any day of the week.
Absolutely. But in that 7th inning, again, you see Singer, and then the bottom of the 7th. Isbell singles. Steals second. Dozier with a fly ball. Shocker. Isbell tags up and goes to third. So I guess productive out. Fine. Only productive out because Isbell stole second and singled. So productive out for Dozier, like he was really trying to hit it to right field to move, whatever. So Isbell goes to third with 1 out. Nicky Lopez safety squeeze, Drew Waters single, MJ Melendez single, Bobby Witt 3-run home run. After Singer finished up the 7th, the Royals are 11-7 in his 18 starts since he was recalled. As a team overall, he's 7-4 in his win-loss record in those 18 games, and probably deserved to be a whole lot better because, you know, one of those non-decisions was when he went to Yankee Stadium and did something that only a few players in the history have done, and he did not get a decision in that game, and the Royals didn't even win. So they could have been 12-6 in his 18 starts since being recalled. But that 8th inning, the one blip there was Dozier, who I don't think anybody is counting on as being a part of this team moving forward. I know he's under contract, but for whatever reason, against a right-hander, you sit Nick Prado and you put in Dozier and play him at first, and you're going, well, you know, Prado probably needs, he's been struggling, so maybe some time off, you know, he's been struggling. Because Dozier's been
crushing it,
just ripping the cover
knocking
off
the cover
of the ball.
off. Since
the All-Star break, Dozier's slash line in 25 games, 151, 216, 226 for a 442 OPS, and he has also grounded into 5 double plays. And about what feels like 50 other where he just outran the throw to first, but it was still a fielder's choice that he beat the throw to first, and it wasn't a double play. That's what he's been, and it's like, well, you know, Nick Prado, he needs some time off. I kind of feel like Dozier needs a lot of time off. Just simply go with the younger guys, Prado and whoever else moving forward. I don't need to see Dozier. I would have enjoyed to see last night when it's that lineup, Prado in for Dozier, with, you know, Massey out there, not just pinch hitting. I want to see that lineup more often than not, and I don't think I need a matrix spreadsheet to be able to do that like the Royals apparently have come up with.
Yeah, and that whole thing, I don't even know if we ended up ever talking about that the day that quote came out of Matheny talking about having the spreadsheet to rotate all the outfielders through. This is one of those things where the Royals just sometimes don't do themselves a lot of favors by just talking, by just saying something out loud like, oh, you know, you could use a night off. And then I know this isn't the most important number in the slash line, but when you said since the All-Star break, Dozier 151, I blacked out and I didn't retain any of the other numbers you said until the double plays. Because I think 151 is failing 50% more than a really good hitter. Like that is atrocious. Obviously, I'm not making any news there.
OPSing at 442.
I mean,
which has dropped his OPS for the season down below 700. And remember, at one point, you're like, hey, Dozier is bouncing back. It was the thumb injury last year, and he's swinging the bat at a better clip.
I've been fairly pro-Dozier. Prozier? I've been fairly Prozier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Early in this season because of all of that. Because he took a hockey check down the first base line and had his thumb explode. Like, those are good reasons for a player to have a hard time getting his footing. But whenever you're saying, oh, you know, you got Prado needs a night off and Hunter Dozier has to keep getting thrown out there whenever he hasn't found the baseball in any point in the month of August is tough. And I even, this is weird. This is a weird angle for me to take on defending the Royals right now. But I understood the logic of, hey, let's try to lock up Hunter Dozier at a relatively decent price. It's not a huge value, but you're not crazily overpaying if he hits your expectations. And then he is one of very few veterans who you could put him at either corner. You can throw him in the corner outfield. It's not going to be great, but you can put him out there, and he can be one of the veterans with Salvi and Michael A. Taylor. It could be those 3 guys, and 6 freaking rookies would still be such a tremendously young group. But you need those 3 veterans to justify their playing time if you're going to give it to them over the young guys. And right now, Dozier isn't. Baseball's an infinitely long season. Everybody's going to get plenty of playing time, I'm sure. But it's just, it is hard to hear that as the logic behind it whenever Dozier's struggling as much as he is.
Well, I want to take a break and come back, and we addressed this, I think, a week ago or maybe a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about what the Braves did with Michael Harris, what the Braves did with Austin Riley, and what the Royals may or may not do, and we discussed it with Hunter Dozier. I want to get back into that just a little bit on the other side of the break, and then we'll talk some Chiefs football. We'll talk with Matt Lane. We'll get into what we want to see tonight. We will also hear from Clark Hunt, who had a press conference yesterday, weighing in a few clips on Lynn Dawson, and then a couple of other national clips on the Chiefs offense, and then somebody weighing in on the Mahomes-Rodgers whole nother level of play for one particular person over the other. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling on this Thursday. Again, 913-912-4810, the text line. More Zone next.
Thursday night, it's the final tune-up before Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs kick off a new NFL season. We'll get you ready for the Chiefs and Packers with pregame beginning at 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and much more. And we'll be back even before the final tick of the clock with your calls. Jack Johnson hosts our postgame coverage beginning at 9 o'clock. Follow the Chiefs on your home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 57, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You just heard it there. You're going to keep hearing it all day. The Chiefs are in action again tonight, and there's still time to secure your seats from the team at Tickets for Less. When you need tickets, your first stop should always be ticketsforless.com. Tickets for Less offers the largest selection of Chiefs tickets at the absolute best prices, and they never charge outrageous per-ticket fees that you get stuck paying on other sites. Whether you want preseason tickets or you're looking to score seats to the home opener or other regular season games, be sure to check out ticketsforless.com. You'll be glad you did.
Join CrossFirst Bank and our support of Golfology for Cardiology. The name may sound funny, but we're raising money and awareness for a serious cause. Go to golfologyforcardiology.com. That's golfology, the number 4, cardiology.com.
Golfology for Cardiology, a Pro-Am golf event benefiting the Center for Advanced Heart Care at the University of Kansas Health System. Visit golfologyforcardiology.com. Presented by Core First Bank. It's football season, and as we all know, Kansas City...
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's The Zone on a Thursday edition. We'll talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast coming up at 11 o'clock, Sports or Leisure at 1 o'clock. Some football to get into throughout the show today. And we'll talk about what we want to see tonight from the Chiefs and different players and things like that. Don't expect Patrick Mahomes to be out there and to be playing. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. The thing moving forward now for this organization, for the Royals, is going to be what they do this offseason. How do they feel about the future? How confident are they in these players? And are they willing to put their money where their faith is in these players? Are the players also willing to then return the favor for the bird in the hand, for the no matter what happens in my career, I might be getting, 60, 70, 100, 150, depending on who it is that's signing the contract. You've got real life-changing, generationally family-changing money that can be on the line if the Royals want to go and sign one or two or three or four of these guys, because there are certainly options that you can go and sign to longer-term deals, maybe take a year or two of free agency away from that particular player. Maybe even if you're signed through arbitration, whatever it might be, you've got an idea of what you're going to be paying that particular player. You can plan for it. It's a cost that is going to be the same, that you know what it is going into those years, so you can budget around those things. Melendez, Witt, Pasquantino, Singer, you've got some options to sign guys to longer-term deals to do what the Braves have done. Now, mind you, the Braves did not do that with any of their pitchers. They did that with their position players, with Michael Harris, with Austin Riley, with Ronald Acuna, with Ozzie Albies. They've done it with those particular players. They have not done it with a pitcher. So if they're going to go the Braves route, maybe it's not Singer. But he's heading for arbitration soon. So is he willing this offseason, if the Royals believe that he has arrived, as Jeff Montgomery believes, as it certainly looks like he has, then you go into this offseason and you approach Brady Singer and you say, let's talk. Let's get a 5-year deal done. Let's get a 6-year deal done. And we can have you locked up through, 2029 and have that team control. Hey, Bobby, 8-year deal? 9-year deal? I mean, I don't know if they're working on these things. I don't know if they are talking about it, or if they are going to view the next few years as we can be a really good team and we can have cheaper players because they got the team control, and then even in arbitration, it probably won't be as much as we would be paying them right now over these first few years. So let's take advantage of that and go and win some games without having to pay a premium for these particular players. The issue you run into is, and I don't expect them to play it out that way throughout these guys' careers in terms of team control, but you're going to have arbitrations and free agency hitting with a lot of these guys at the same time or within a year. And if you're going to be doing that, now you're talking about paying, if they're as good as you feel like they can be, like your faith is in these players. And by the way, it had better be. Because if Dayton Moore and JJ don't have faith in these players, well, then you're going to be fired. And if they don't do well, you're going to be fired. But if they do what you hope they can do, if you go and take care of that contract, you have them at least a salary that is in place, that is cemented over those years that you budget around, and you don't get into a position of there are 5 players that are arbitration eligible this year. There's 5 players that this free agency year is 2027 or 2028, whatever it might be, and you're going to have to go the Lorenzo Cain, the Moustakas, the Hosmer walking off the field together because you knew that, hey, this is the last time we're going to see these guys, even though it wasn't for Moustakas, but we all thought that was going to be the case, and they wanted to sign Eric Hosmer, but they were paying the premium for it. And he didn't sign. He went to the Padres. There's your loyalty. Moustakas signed because he didn't get what he thought he was going to get in the open market. So he returns. Not that he wanted to. It was just the best of what he and his agents probably felt was two worse scenarios than he thought was going to be the choice in the offseason. If Dayton is wanting to build this and have it sustain longer term, you can't go through the exact same thing you did last time of drafting and trading and all these guys coming up at the same time and their service time at the same time, and then they all leave around the same time, and then do it again and just simply play it out and expect the results to be different, that these guys will then go, you know what, I'm going to repay you and I'm going to sign long term because of this faith and loyalty that you had for me. Because it didn't work the first go around except for Alex Gordon. And that was also part of the, he wanted a lot more money than the market value was for him at that time. And so he ends up returning to Kansas City and playing on that deal and plays his entire career in Kansas City. And was it a great deal for the Royals? No. Is it cool that Alex Gordon played every single game of his career with the Royals? Yeah. Would it have mattered if they didn't sign him? Probably not, because they were going to struggle. They weren't going to be good. So he finishes out his career on some bad teams, whatever.
Lots of baseball contracts, you pay for them at the end.
Yeah.
Usually that's with superstars and huge deals. That's not Alex Gordon's case. But there's a little bit of that.
The thing with this is you would be paying for these at the beginning.
Right.
So you would be saying,
good point. That's true.
We're gonna take some arbitration away that you might get extra money in year 5, 6, and then as a free agent in year 7 maybe, but we're gonna take care of you in years 1, 2, and 3. So, and for a fact, like, hey, Vinny, here's $80 million.
Sure.
There you go, Vinny. $80 million. You were an 11th round pick with a back injury coming out of college. And now a few years later, you've got a contract sitting there for $80 million. How's he turning that down?
I should have interrupted you sooner because I think you might have taken the air out of my sails on this one, because I want to flip it. Okay, we're back. Pick somebody. Pick somebody here. Yes, I'm working on my deep breathing.
Bobby Witt.
And I think that it can still be Bobby Witt, but within the context of reasonably what it would cost and also what the other side would say. So if you're Bobby Witt right now, he would be the guy that I would most want to lock up right now in a vacuum, and obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't know if his camp is going to be terribly open to that right now, because they might be already looking to, once we get out into free agency, or even, listen, please, Kansas City, do not turn on me right now. But even to a place where you say, okay, if you're not going to pay me what I'm worth, send me somewhere where they will pay me. If it can happen with Juan Soto, it can happen with literally anybody. I don't think it'll come to that. I think the Royals understand that would be incredibly hard to come back from if he starts playing like Juan Soto and then gets moved. But you understand what I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But so if I said, hey, put all your chips in one basket, you're putting all your effort in one guy. I think there are 3 answers. I think there's obvious, risky, and maybe the most plausible. But I want to know how you would kind of fill those out. I promise I won't change my answer when I find out yours.
Obvious, risky, plausible.
I think those are my 3.
Okay.
But I'm curious if I just say, hey, like, get as specific as you'd want with some of these guys. Where would you, as the Royals front office, spend not just your money right now, but your energy, knowing that it might be tough to get Bobby Witt to sign a deal this early on? And frankly, I'll turn my hand here.
Yeah.
I think that's the obvious one.
Well, Bobby Witt,
if you can make it
obvious
happen,
one, yes.
That's the obvious one.
Absolutely. So I think obvious is Bobby Witt and MJ Melendez. I think
Good
Melendez
point.
to a lesser degree of Bobby Witt, but I think we've seen enough from MJ Melendez that he can be a good player in the lineup. He can catch. Is he a great catcher? No. But he's athletic enough to play outfield as well, so you've got some versatility with him, and I believe the bat will play. I believe he's a good hitter. So I would lock up Melendez.
That might be a degree more plausible than Bobby Witt, I would think, just in terms of him hunting for a super deal.
Right.
So, okay, I'm with you.
So it is obvious, plausible, and risky.
I think those are the tiers that I have, and I have one guy in each category that really stands out.
Plausible to me would be Pasquantino.
That's mine. I agree.
Risky.
I think you're going to get them all.
Risky would be Singer because he's a pitcher.
Yes, sir.
but I'd also say like Massey or Prado.
Yeah,
would be that
for
would
the
be
unknown.
Right, that would
aspect
be
of it.
that would be plausible in that I think they would go, oh, okay, cool. I've played 10 games.
Yeah, right.
I get a cup of coffee, and now you're offering me a full-time position as a CEO.
Yes,
I just stopped in to get a drink. How did this happen?
I was sorting mail, and now I'm the CEO of the company.
I didn't even work here. I just came in,
just walked through,
and you offered me the CEO position. Great, I'll take it. So, yeah, I think they would sign on the dotted line pretty quickly at that standpoint. But that would be obviously risky from the unknown of what they would be. But if you're talking about like 4 guys that we're discussing right now that at least have had a longer,
longer tail on their comet or whatever.
Longer time and more of a sample size.
There it is.
Witt, the obvious. Melendez, I think the obvious, and a little below Bobby Witt in terms of the order that I would go and spend the money. Pasquantino, plausible, and then risky would be Brady Singer because of arm injuries and things like that. He looks like he has a pretty easy, compact delivery that hopefully that will result in health throughout his career. But it is always a risk when it comes to pitchers. I certainly wouldn't give him a 10-year deal, but would I give him like a 5-year deal and maybe take a couple of years of free agency away from him? And you've got your cost that you know what it's going to be for the next 5 years with Brady Singer, that you're not going into arbitration, you're not going into negotiations, you're not having to go into an arbitration hearing and then tell the arbiter about why this guy isn't worth that money, right? I mean, you don't have to deal with that. Dayton and the front office have always tried to avoid arbitration hearings. It's only been like a couple, one of those being Andrew Benintendi, and he didn't even stay around for 2 months after that arbitration hearing is, they moved on from him. So they try to avoid those things. I don't know that, the top one, like I don't know that Bobby Witt would say, all right, let's sit down and let's talk. But if they offered him Austin Riley money, if they said the Braves gave Austin Riley 10 years, $212 million. Bobby, you've played 125, 130 games if we're talking about the offseason. You played 130 games in your major league career. Here's 200 and round up. Here's $220 million. That's yours no matter what happens. You Fernando Tatis it, with injuries, not PEDs.
Yes, right.
But injuries, because Tatis, one more mistake, they can get out of that contract. So giving up $200 million would seem pretty stupid for some PEDs. You don't even have to be a good player anymore. You're going to get the money. So don't take the PEDs. You don't need the performance enhancers. You just need the don't screw it up drugs.
Yeah, right.
Which is just, coffee.
Just some water. Stay hydrated.
That's exactly right. Some Gatorade. You're using the wrong kind of water. The contract sitting in front of somebody, and his dad was a major leaguer, so he knows how the business goes, and maybe he would say, nah, we believe in Bobby Witt. We know the money's going to be astronomical in 5-6 years when he hits free agency, so he's going to make more than that, and we think he may make near that when he gets into arbitration for a few years, as good as he's going to be. Maybe that's the case, and maybe they can try, and it's like, you know what, you can't blame him for trying. It just didn't work out. But, man, if you put $220 million in front of a 22-year-old and say that, hey, by the way, you're going to be 32 as a free agent, and you would have already have banked $220 million. And more than that, because you got like an $8 million signing bonus. And you're getting paid this year as well. So you're going to make like $230 million by the time you're 32 years old by signing right now?
I think that is like that's in the obvious category for good reasons. I want to go back to Singer real quick. Because it's not just risky because he's a pitcher and he has an elbow that needs to, have millions of dollars invested into it. But we are still working on, if you imagine this conversation on May 15th. That was a couple days before his first start back from Omaha. Actually, I think that might have been the doubleheader. It doesn't matter.
No, May 17th was the doubleheader.
So May 15th. We're having this conversation May 15th. It's before he comes back for the doubleheader start. The conversation we're having is, do you extend Brady Singer to just hope that he has a magical turnaround? Maybe he signs like a 6-year deal for just pennies on the dollar?
6 years, $30 million. Brady, sign it right now.
Right, and then there's something like, I don't know, man. They could use that money to pay off Hunter Dozier. I don't know. And we are now in late August, and we're talking about really 3 months, and that is not an infinitesimal sample size. That's not 3 starts, but it's also still a pretty small set of samples, you could say. And I just want to believe. I really do, and I wonder if that's good business or not. To say, hey, what we've seen from Brady Singer is real Brady Singer. He's got it figured out. He's unlocked. He's arrived, all of that. I think I'm buying into that, but it makes me a little bit nervous.
If we're having this conversation on May 15th, we would be talking about a team that Brady Singer was still in the minor leagues. Melendez was up for like 10 days. Bobby Witt was in a slump. And Vinny Pasquantino was just starting to rake down in AAA. That's the time
Those
we
were
would have
dark
been
days.
That's the time we'd have been having that conversation. And now, fast forward August 25th, Pasquantino, I know he's on the IL, but he's still rocking the MC Hammer pants for the promo that the Royals put out for the I Love the 90s concert coming up on Saturday night, which we'll be at. So he's doing that and still having fun. Hopefully it is just a stinger, and you let that, they said there was no damage or anything in there. Everything looked fine. It was just inflamed. Great. Let that thing calm down. Get back in 10 days. Get back at it. You got him doing that, and you've got Melendez being, steady, and you got Witt starting to turn it on again. In his last 6 games, he's got, the 3 home runs and 2 doubles, a triple, 7 RBIs in the 6 games, 6 runs scored. He's OPSing in 6 games at a 1.3. It's 6 games, right? Because he's slugging almost 1,000 in these 6 games. But that means he's starting to drive the ball. He's barreling it up, and he's getting back into being Bobby Witt that hits at 430 and hits it on a line drive to the wall in a gap. He can do that. So you've got that guy coming around. Yeah, I think this offseason is who are you keeping? Who are you investing in, and who are your trade chips? Who are you trying to get somebody back for? You've got to figure those things out, this front office, and you've got to have a commitment from John Sherman and the ownership that they're willing to do that even in a position they're in where they probably haven't even come close to recouping the money that they lost with the COVID years and all of the stuff that came out of nowhere right after they purchased the team. Things you can't control.
Breaking news, I've just seen Vinny Pasquantino in the MC Hammer pants, and I would recommend everybody go watch this on the Royals Twitter.
Word to your mother. Warzone next.
When I want to beat the summer heat, I head straight to Andy's Frozen Custard for their world-famous key lime pie concrete. And now, there's a new Andy's at the Blue Hawk Shopping Center at 159th Street between Antioch and 69 Highway in Overland Park. So join me this Thursday at the brand new Andy's at Blue Hawk from 2 until 4 o'clock. Stop by and say hello, and you can meet Andy and enjoy special offers for the grand opening. Andy's Frozen Custard, the world's finest.
So I'm not sure that DraftKings is going to let you bet on whether or not the Royals will do those things in the offseason. I would bet against that, so I'm not going to place money there. If they do allow me to do that, they won't do that. Probably not. I don't think that's part of the futures, the props, or anything like that, but there are plenty of other things that you can do starting September 1st, whether that's money lines and spreads and props and other things with one of America's top-rated sports book apps. It is DraftKings, and very soon you'll be able to bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. And to celebrate that, DraftKings is giving all new customers $100 in free bets when you sign up using code 810-WHB, 810-WHB. Plus, one lucky customer will win a $100,000 free bet. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $100 in free bets just for signing up today with no deposit required. It's DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus, again, you're going to be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. So download the DraftKings Sports app now and sign up with code 810-WHB to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, again, one customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's code 810-WHB only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus, physically present in Kansas. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. One per customer. $100 issued as 4 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. And first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Kansas. See terms at dkng.co/ks.
Jayhawk fans, season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are on sale for as low as $185. We need you in the booth waving the wheat this fall and supporting Coach Leipold and the Jayhawks. Get your tickets now at kuathletics.com/tickets or by calling 800-34-HAWKS.
To the end zone, he's in! Touchdown Jayhawks!
This is Kevin Harlan. I can call 2 NFL games at the same time, but I only drive one car at a time. And I like the luxury ride and service that I get from my Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City. Mercedes-Benz, 135th in Madison, or online at mbofkc.com.
MB of KC is your local Mercedes-Benz new and used car, truck, and SUV dealership. 1/2 mile east of 135th and State Line on Highway 150. Check out their great inventory today.
Man, I'm losing it. Inches, that is. New pants, new shirts, a whole new wardrobe, thanks to Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Losing all this weight is a life changer. It costs nothing to make a call or stop by their office for a consultation at 11709 Row in Leewood. If you like what you hear and you mention 810, you get $100 off the startup fee. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Lose the weight and feel great. Remember, life is better with the feather.
Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, we'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time means you building, you drilling, you doing, you recharging, you saving, and you going back for more. Do Labor Day your way and get a free 18-volt battery with select Milwaukee Power Toolkit purchases at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With
That's exciting. You gonna talk Chiefs with him? They play tonight, you know.
Against who?
Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
Whoop, hold on.
Is that one in Lambeau?
I'll have to double check. No, I know that's not. I'm not even going to play with that one because I know that if you want tickets for the game tonight, you can go to ticketsforless.com. I'm not even going to play around with Tickets for Less.
It's also a throwback to the longtime Zone listeners from back in 2019, like the first month or two we were on the air, that I thought the Chiefs and Packers game was going to be, and that was the one where Mahomes ended up missing because it was the entire preseason. I thought that was in Lambeau.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
I kept saying in Lambeau. So now anytime, like we got text yesterday that said, hey, is that Chiefs game in Lambeau tomorrow night against the Packers? No, it's not. But yeah, that's why I asked, is that game in Lambeau tomorrow night against the Chiefs and Packers? That's got to be in Lambeau. They only play in Lambeau Field, right? It's only been in Lambeau.
In your defense,
that's where Jordan Love's parents and family was watching from. Is that where you were going?
Now I don't have a joke, so you can just keep going.
Beat you again.
Jordan Love's mom will be watching from Lambeau, but
do you think she gets better tickets tonight if she comes to the game than being in the Goodyear blimp?
Well, if she goes to ticketsforless.com.
She should have gone to ticketsforless.com there.
She should have.
I mean, it's just so amazing. How do you not have better tickets for your son's first start?
The worst seats in the house. The worst. Which, like, there is something fun to having. Like, if anyone's ever... I went to a preseason game at some point, I'm sure, in the upper deck at Arrowhead. That's a fun place to be if you're not the mom of the starting quarterback.
Yeah,
like
that top row is no fun unless you're at an A's game, which I was talking about with the morning
okay,
show.
so I've heard of that reference
I don't
twice.
know.
I
think the top row still blows.
Okay, no, I was gonna say, I think I have about 95% my guess as to what happened in there. I did not see any of this, and now I know. I don't even have to Google it. Hey, actually, Jason, why don't you look that up on Twitter?
I'm not going to.
I think you should.
I'm not going to.
Go for it.
Not at all.
Look it
See,
up.
the issue with the top row is sometimes when you look behind, you're like, oh my God, you go right to your knees.
So, speaking of all that, Dustin Crum tonight should get a lot of playing time.
Why was Oral Hershiser on the mound that game? It's odd. I thought he was retired.
I can't figure out what happened.
Plus, he's with the Dodgers. What does that have to do with the A's at all? so weird he was starting pitching that night. I sat the very, very, very top row of a stadium one time in my life. That was when I was, I think, 14 with my dad. We went to the Jacobs Field in Cleveland, and the first year it was open. I think that was 94 against the Mariners. Griffey hit a home run. But we were in the very, very top, and there was a chain link fence behind us, and then Cleveland. And I was not looking behind me at all.
Chain link fence and then Cleveland.
And that was not fun. And that is the last time I will ever sit at the top row of any stadium.
TMZ
Even if
here.
the fringe benefits happen with some of those stadiums.
TMZ.com. Cops investigating alleged sex act in stands at Oakland A's game. Hey, cops,
When?
we wrapped this one up. Well,
When?
could have phrased that differently.
When did that happen? Huh.
Hey, investigation, open shut case. Allegedly.
You'd say it's finished?
I hope the show hasn't climaxed yet. We got a lot. We got
really?
3 hours left.
Really?
I want to make my Dustin Crum jokes.
Is Dustin Crum playing football there as well?
Just trying to connect the dots.
Because, the Raiders played on dirt for a while. I don't know if you knew that, but the Raiders, sometimes they play in the dirt because of an infield there in Oakland. Maybe Dustin Crum could have done that.
That was foul.
Matt Lane next.
Looking for that special item to promote your company? Stop in at Jock's Niche in Lenexa or check them out online at jocksnichepromo.com. Jock's Niche specializes in promoting your company by providing custom sportswear hats, backpacks, jackets, polos, tumblers, or whatever items you need. Great customer service and quality items and fast and dependable on-time delivery for your corporate events and your needs. Stop in and see Rob Watts at their store located at College and Plum in Lenexa or online at jocksnichepromo.com.
You got the sports look of today. Sporting goods from Jock's Niche.
Hey, Kansas, DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Sunflower State. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $100 in free bets when you sign up using code 810WHB. Plus, one lucky customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $100 in free bets just for signing up today. No deposit required. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code 810WHB to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, one customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's code 810WHB only at DraftKings.
with us on this Thursday edition. We got some sports or leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. Right now, let's talk some football with Matt Lane from KC Sports Network and KC Laboratory Podcast joining us here in the zone. Matt, what is up, man? How are you?
I'm excited to get here to this last preseason game so we can finally begin the countdown till the real season starts.
I'm with you on that. Just get through this, and then, on Tuesday, we'll have an idea. Not even an idea. We'll know who's made the 53-man roster and start to build things from there. I'm not expecting to see number 15 out there, except for, on the sideline in civilian, clothes. Maybe in a Lynn Dawson number 16 jersey. Might be there wearing that on the sideline. How many of the starters do you think we'll see tonight? Or is it just maybe a Mahomes and Kelsey, maybe a Frank Clark and something like that, but like offensive line, defensive line, other guys that might be starters that aren't to that level may still play?
I honestly don't know. The Chiefs haven't been super open about it. In the past, Andy Reid has went ahead and let starters, Andy Reid's kind of gone with the traditional preseason rotations when there was still 4 games where, the starters played deep into the second quarter, if not the full first half. Last year when we had the 3, we did see the starting offense for, I think, a series or 2 in that third preseason game. So I don't know what to expect with Andy Reid right now. Coming off a shorter week with the game being on a Thursday, you would think maybe they'd rest. But then again, the team doesn't play for another 2.5 weeks after this. So is Andy Reid a guy that's going to want them that far removed from a game day routine before they take the field in week 1? I don't know. So that's almost just as intriguing as anything that's actually going to happen is who's going to play, who's not going to play. And at this point, I don't know if we have enough to guess one way or the other.
It makes no sense to me, at least, that I know the NFL is staggering games, so the final preseason games are tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday as well. But, you have a team, the third preseason game is 5 days after their second preseason game. Like, what coach is going to play their starters at that point? I know that they didn't play a full game the week before, right? It's not like a Sunday to Thursday where you play an NFL game for 4 quarters on a Sunday, then you got to go and play another NFL game for 4 quarters on a Thursday, and you're more susceptible to injury. I understand that, but it just doesn't make sense if you're going to have that quick turnaround and then that longer delay until week 1 is where you kind of get that dilemma that you're talking about. Do you want to go from August, what would it be, 20th until September 11th with not playing in an actual game? Maybe, maybe not. Each team kind of does it different. The Rams don't play, their starters or anything from that standpoint. You brought up last year, though, Matt, and that's where, I'm with you that I don't know what to expect. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to play, so I'm not counting on seeing him tonight. But, all we have to go off of is last year. And preseason game number 3, they got 2 series. They went out and scored 2 touchdowns. What leads me to believe maybe this year is different, Matt, is they had 4 possessions in the preseason in the first 2 games, and they had 3 points and an interception in those 4. That I wonder if Andy Reid was like, no, we're going to have a good, possession or 2 on offense. And it was the only home preseason game. They had 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns. That was it. Whereas this year, I don't know. Has he seen everything he's wanting and needing to see from the passing game that needs Patrick Mahomes in the game?
Yeah, and I think that, and then the home preseason game, I think is a good point, is that the Chiefs, Andy Reid has gotten to let the first team show out a little bit this year at home. He's gotten to take care of Kansas City, and the fans already won. So there isn't that extra pressure to make sure, your season ticket holders or whoever are getting to see them at home live like there would have been for the third game last year. So I think that's a good point. I think the fact that the first team offense, even missing some pieces so far, seems to be clicking absolutely fine. So if they did come out and you see the first team offensive line, maybe for one series, you get no Mahomes, no Kelsey, stuff like that, I wouldn't be shocked by any stretch of the imagination. But then based on what we're talking about here, I don't know if I would be completely floored if they came out and gave the Mahomes and Kelsey a series as well, because they did last year. Just Andy Reid, he's very traditionalist with a lot of stuff that he does, and so I am kind of wondering, would he be willing to go, like you said, almost an entirely full 3 weeks without his starters kind of getting ready for a game day, without that preparation and that routine on the game day before they're ready to take the field? that's what gives me pause to say that I don't think we'll see them for sure, but I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah, we had a couple of decades of data with how Andy Reid handled preseason games, and now we have 3, or 1 year to go off of
Right.
for it this year. Here's what I would like to see, Matt, is no Patrick Mahomes, Chad Henne in the game, the starting offense, and just work on the run game. And just see, whether it's Clyde, whether it's Pacheco, is it Ronald Jones, Jet, whatever it is. I know the passing game is good, and I want them to pass the ball 80% of the time. I don't want there to be more running plays. I would like to be more efficient in their running plays. So that's kind of what, offensively, if the starters are out there minus Patrick Mahomes, I don't need him to pass it because Mahomes is not in the game. Try to work on the running game, see if you can get your timing down and a little bit better, results and efficiency than what we've seen so far in limited snaps with the first-team offense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I'm with you. I don't know if we necessarily feel like we need to see Patrick Mahomes go out there and throw the ball around anymore. Would we like to? Sure, but we don't need to. The running game, on the other hand, just simply hasn't looked good, and it looks like the issue is timing or the connection between the running backs, the offensive line, and then the run types that are being called, and not that any of them are the sole reason or issue that's in with the run game. It's just nothing seems to be working together. So I would like to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if they're going to use Isaiah Pacheco as that, second running back, or Jerick McKinnon, whoever it's going to be, I would like to see them get a few runs with the first-team offensive line before those guys all start to get pulled, because the timing does look off right now. Now, it's preseason.
Mm-hmm.
We're nitpicking at offensive linemen, big guys that go through the hardest job in all of football. They play the most snaps besides your quarterback. They're constantly running, hitting other guys. If they're not giving 110% on a preseason run, I don't know if that's a reason to panic, but I would like it to at least look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more in sync than what we've seen so far. So I would be fully on board with that plan.
Few plays that they've had so far in running the ball. What have you seen from that? Is it just one thing off here or there? The offensive line? Is it the running backs not hitting the holes? It seems like the running backs have been talked about in the inefficient running game in the preseason so far. You come away with the same view that there are some better runs to be had if a different hole was seen and run through by said running backs.
That's there. I think you could definitely pick out examples to where Pacheco, and that's expected for a rookie running back, but there's been a few times where I think Clyde has been a little slow, maybe getting to the hole that he needs to, or maybe a guy's not being as patient behind a combo block that you would like to see. But I also think, and this has kind of been an issue that's plagued the Chiefs over the past couple of years, even when the Chiefs' offensive line overall is talented enough, it seems like there's a lack of consistency. So on any given play, it seems like there's one guy that's losing a block, whether that's Andrew Wiley doesn't connect on a reach block and that defensive end ends up making the play. Trey Smith at times will get off balance and maybe overrun a guy he's trying to block, and that guy makes a play. Creed Humphrey will get walked back, force the running back a different direction. Like, it always seems to be just kind of one guy. Doesn't mean that player's bad, but just one guy on a lot of run plays seems to not block the play up quite as well as you'd hope. And it seems like the Chiefs running backs really struggle to make a positive play when that happens. When the play isn't blocked up perfectly, they seem to really struggle to be able to turn it into anything more than a modest 1 to 2 yard gain. And so I would love to see the Chiefs alter the run game, get a little bit more downhill, maybe quit asking some of these running backs to be so patient, quit using this inside zone footwork where you're kind of trying to prod and poke different holes behind the offensive line before you get through there, because that doesn't seem to be anyone's strength. At the same time, though, when they do that, you got to see slightly better results than we've seen, or Andy Reid's never going to stick to it. So it's a culmination of everything. I do think that so far I have not been impressed by Andrew Wiley, and I think he would be kind of my reason 1A to the running backs missing some reads as 1B is what the issue has been.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm hoping Andrew Wiley can just simply play a representative right tackle because they're really good at the other 4 spots. And one thing here or there, one play here or there that can make the difference in a running game, almost like it becomes more efficient to pass the ball because one guy might not do their job, but you can still figure out how to move the ball down the field with Patrick Mahomes doing other things and other receivers and things like that. Interesting how that kind of works. I don't know. That's just me. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Who's the most talented running back? Who's the best running back on this team, do you think? Because that's been debated between Clyde and Jet and whether it's pure runner, Rojo. And, boy, at the beginning of the camp, felt like it was maybe Pacheco or Barry Sanders, whichever one people were seeing in the new number 10 jersey. So who do you think is the best running back on this team?
It's a little tough. I would still lean towards, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has the best running back kind of skill set just as a pure runner. You compare him across the board to everybody else, his vision, his ability to change directions is probably that combination compared with, running relatively tough for a guy of his size. I think that gives him the edge. I would have said coming into the year it was him or Ronald Jones for sure, but Ronald Jones has looked a little slow to me. He looks like a guy that's lost a step from what he had earlier in his career, and I think without that gear, he just looks like a slow, bruising running back, but I don't know if he necessarily always runs that hard. So I guess it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of by default, but I would also like to say, I think if we compare anything that Clyde's done with the Chiefs to what Jerick McKinnon did late last year, McKinnon has run the Chiefs' particular run scheme the best out of all their running backs. He seems to see the blocks the best. He seems to understand the Chiefs' inside zone concepts the best. I think he has looked the best in this particular scheme as a runner, even if I think across, multiple different schemes, I'd probably lean towards Clyde still.
Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Okay, so what are you going to be watching for tonight? So we talked about whether or not starters will play and all of that stuff, but there's still a lot of other things to be decided for this roster. And I don't know, maybe the hay's already in the barn for the coaching staff and they know who they're going to keep. But what are you watching tonight in this game?
Offensively, I think I want to see what the plan is to kind of replace, I guess, or potentially replace Blake Bell. The Chiefs didn't have him last week against the Commanders, and they kind of just glossed over it by putting Kelsey and Noah Gray on the field together and running these kind of insert run plays or getting Noah Gray pulling and then coming up through the offensive line rather than sitting in line and blocking a defensive end. What are they going to do, though, especially if Kelsey doesn't play? What's that going to look like now? Who is going to take over a lot of these blocking reps that they might not have with Blake Bell coming off of hip surgery? Are they even going to try, or is this something that we should keep our eyes out as other teams cut down to their 53-man roster? And are the Chiefs going to try to add, like they tried to add Kendall Blanton, are they going to try to add some kind of blocking tight end to fill that Blake Bell role? So I'm just intrigued to see, do they use Jody Fortson in that role now that he's a little bit bigger? And last year I do think he flashed a little as a blocker. Are they going to rely on Noah Gray, who I think is a little undersized for that? I think that could be huge for us as fans that want to see the Chiefs start to play a little bit more of a power run game. Having a tight end that can block downhill is going to be important, and I don't know if they have one without Bell.
Well, I wonder as well that, without Bell there, and they put in the waiver claim on Blanton, as you talked about, that, if Kelsey doesn't play tonight, then you're talking about two tight ends that people even know exist on the roster in being Noah Gray and Jody Fortson. But you'd also have Bushman that is on the roster and Franks as well that's on the roster still, unless they've been cut and I didn't know that. But Bushman seems to be a bigger player, 6'5", almost 250. At least that's what he's listed at. Since it's the NFL, he's probably 6 foot 180. I'm not sure. But 6'5", 250, and then Franks is 6'4", 230. If there was going to be somebody on the team that had an opportunity to earn a blocking role, it might be Bushman tonight. So the replacing Blake Bell is a really interesting one. And honestly, Matt, it's not one that I had given any thought to, but it is really important if they're going to keep four tight ends because they don't feel like they've got the answer in-house. They wanted to go get Blanton, and maybe somebody has an opportunity to step up and be that answer in-house. Or maybe they go three tight ends, and I think that would change the way that Andy Reid would like to run the offense or different sets and personnel groupings because we know he's like the two tight end sets, and there's a reason they were going to go with four tight ends.
That's the tricky part here is I think in a vacuum, I don't think Blake Bell means, losing the talent of Blake Bell probably doesn't impact the Chiefs' offense that much. But when I kind of start to look back and what we all want to see the Chiefs do this year is going into the 21 or 12 personnel, getting a little bit bigger, running downhill, having that tight end that can work with either tackle on a double team block or that can take a defensive end backside one-on-one that kind of stuff is going to matter as the year goes on, and I don't know if they have that guy. Kelsey could do that earlier in his career as he's gotten older, and, this is no shame in this, but he doesn't want to block anymore. He shouldn't have to be asked to block as much as he did in line. That's not the best use of his snaps or of his skills. So having Blake Bell that can take that role and go out there with Kelsey matters. I don't know if Noah Gray or Jody Fortson can fill that same role. They have found ways to use Fortson as a blocker, but it's not the same. So it's back to limiting what they can do with the run game. And if your run game can only work so many ways, that limits a little bit of what you can do in terms of play action off of it or the passing concepts you can get out of certain formations. So a Matt Bushman coming out and proving that he can be a blocker, or it's Jordan Franks or a free agent, I think that's just something to keep an eye on going forward if Blake Bell's going to miss a lot of time, because talent-wise, it doesn't matter, but I think for schematically, what we hope to see as fans, I do think that's actually a pretty big deal for him.
Well, I just noticed that Bushman went to BYU, so go ahead and lock him up for the roster. So he's definitely the guy that's going to be the new Blake Bell, and it's a B last name, Bell to Bushman. Just makes too much sense. Makes too much sense that Bushman will be that guy. It's interesting that to watch tonight. I'll certainly keep an eye on that as well. Anything else that you'll be looking for? Because I know you did recently. You've done the cornerbacks stock update, which is really good. And the wide receivers last week. But what else are you going to be watching for, assuming that some of the bigger names are not going to be playing? Because I do think there are a number of jobs that are open, depth pieces jobs that are open, and some interesting moves that is going to have to be made by the coaching staff and Brett Veach and his and the front office as to who's going to be the 48th through 53rd player on this roster.
Let's go right back to the cornerback spot. And I think the final two cornerback spots, I guess, are a little bit open-ended right now. I'm assuming right now if they're going to keep 6 corners and 4 safeties, that just seems to be their most common kind of distribution in terms of snaps and where guys get used. So your top 4 corners being Snead, McDuffie, Fenton, and Josh Williams all seem pretty safe. I think Jalen Watson's played himself into being on the roster. I don't think that there's kind of a prayer, the way he's looked so far, that you're going to sneak him onto your practice squad. So I'm kind of penciling him in there right now. If he has another strong game here in preseason, this is all tape that 31 other teams are going to see. I think it would be hard to put a guy with that, physical skill set and the tape that he's put out in preseason, get him onto your practice squad. So I think he's in, and then it's just, do you want to keep a backup slot corner in DiCaprio Boodle, or do you want to keep a special team star in Chris Lamont? And going into the preseason, I was leaning Boodle because I think that position's a little bit more important, and he's just that much better than Lamont is on the field if they have to play defense. But through these first 2 games, I don't know if Boodle's done enough to separate himself defensively. So now it just comes down to positional value. Is it the special team star and what that means to Dave Tobe, or is it the ability to have a backup slot corner if they're forced onto the field isn't that much different? I'm starting to lean more Lamont now, so this final game won't be the deciding factor. But if Boodle doesn't come out and I think play a lot better than he did last week, I think this makes it a lot more interesting and a harder job for him to take.
I'm with you on all those points. I think it's Watson and Lamont that end up, making the squad because, looking at the first reps that the special teams units got, the kickoff return, the punt return. Lamont is on all of those, and Boodle is not. And so I think that certainly makes a difference. And I think Boodle, along with, Jermaine Carter, whether it's playing their way off the roster or other players playing their way on the roster, maybe a Jalen Watson over a DiCaprio Boodle, I think those guys are in the same boat almost because Boodle's struggling and Jalen Watson playing the way that he is. Okay, I think he's on the squad. Chris Lamont, I'm with you. I think they go 6 cornerbacks and 4 safeties, which when they typically go 10 defensive linemen, that would then leave 5 linebackers for them to keep, which means that Elijah Lee or Jermaine Carter's got to go. And Elijah Lee is just like Lamont. He's everywhere on special teams for Dave Tobe. So if they keep 6 cornerbacks, they can't keep 6 linebackers. So it's almost like Boodle and Carter kind of together have either played their way off the roster or other guys have played their way to where the numbers game affects almost both of them.
Yeah, in the linebacker spot, I'm glad you brought up Carter because I'm with you in that I feel like he has kind of played himself off of, the chance to make the team. He's been he has not looked particularly good for the Chiefs when he's been out there, and I don't see what he provides that someone else doesn't do better in terms of, Elijah Lee and Leo Chenal are kind of fighting for that starting third linebacker role, with Lee being better in coverage, Chenal being more athletic and better run defender. Darius Harris is kind of this trusted backup Mike linebacker.
Yep.
He gets those reps over Chenal, so I think he's probably close to a lock when you're talking about only keeping 5 as well. I don't know if they're ready to trust a rookie if Bolton goes down again. So now it's Jermaine Carter versus this, extra corner. And Jermaine Carter's contract's fully guaranteed. So whether the Chiefs cut him or not, they do owe him. It's only $1.8-ish million, but that's still a fully guaranteed contract. Usually that kind of means they expect that guy to make the team, but hasn't popped on special teams. He doesn't really bring something that no other linebacker does to the defense. At this point, I'd be very surprised if he made it. It would almost seem like it was purely a contract move if that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, because he doesn't wear the green dot. I mean, in the game against the Commanders, it was, Bolton, Harris, and Chenal. And not like if Carter was, the second green dot, right, it was Bolton, and then they went with Carter and Darius Harris out there on the field with them. But it was Carter was the one that was, calling the plays and getting everybody in line. I would say, okay, maybe they have that trust in Carter over a guy that's been around for a while, who they clearly like in Harris, that I just don't see how he's going to be on the squad. And, good for local kid Elijah Lee that, if he makes the squad. And by the way, busting his butt and being really good at special teams. I mean, if you're going to make that 46-53 and be a part of the roster in some way, shape, or form, you got to be good from that standpoint. And it leads me into another point on the offensive side. In one of the things I'll be watching as well is, the wide receivers, because I think there's a big decision to be made by this front office, by the coaching staff, as to, are you keeping 5 or 6 wide receivers? Are you keeping 4 or 3 running backs, along with Burton throwing an extra one there? But the 5 or 6 receivers, and if you're keeping 5, I feel like your receiver room is set with Justin Watson as the 5th. But if you're keeping 6, is it Reese Fountain, who plays some special teams? Is it, Josh Gordon, who they clearly have liked because he was starting last year, and, he got some reps with the first team, on Saturday night, that there's a decision to be made there. But it certainly seems like Tobe would rather have Reese Fountain on the team rather than Josh Gordon. So I'm going to be watching that without Juju in the game, and maybe No McCole and whoever else may, sit tonight and give opportunities for other guys to go and make a name for themselves and show that they, deserve to be on the roster.
Yeah, that's another great question. There's what are they going to do? And I don't want to spend too much time on him again, but what do they do with Blake Bell? Is he going to be put on the IR? Is he going to be put on the PUP list? Like, how are they going to handle his roster spot? Because if they're not going to keep him, if he's going to be, injured or whatever it's going to be, and he's not part of the tight end room, that could move you down to 3 tight ends. That gives you an extra roster spot to play with. Are they keeping 4 running backs? Especially now without Derek Gore, I don't know if he was necessarily in the mix to make the team, but they trusted him as a practice squad call-up to come out and play on any given week when they could do that. Now they don't have that option, so would they want to keep 4 running backs, 6 receivers? Like, what is the roster distribution going to be? I do think if they keep 6 wide receivers, and I think they will, just looking at the room right now and how they're dealing with some early injuries, I think Fountain's kind of got the lead there. He's a special teamer. Not all of the wide receivers. This is probably the least amount of wide receivers they've had that have played actual special teams roles and not just returners. It's probably this year. I think getting a guy like Fountain, who does play as a gunner or a vice occasionally, is on the kick coverage team, he does provide something for sure there. And like Josh Gordon, I mean, he got some reps before Gordon did with the first team last week. Well, even Mahomes was still in there too, so he's getting those reps. I understand that other guys were out, but it seems like they're pushing not necessarily him up the depth chart, but giving him an opportunity to run with it a little bit. So I think it's kind of his job to lose. The only way I can see him really losing out is if they trusted Cornell Powell's ability as a special teamer. It's something he was known for at Clemson. He's been impressive in practice. Maybe he could take that job based purely on special teams, but I would be hard-pressed to see a Coleman or a Gordon take that final wide receiver spot because of just the lack of special teams, I guess, prowess.
Interesting. It's the first time we've heard somebody mention, like, if there's a 6 wide receiver and it's not Fountain, that it wouldn't be Gordon. That seems like just the obvious it'll be Josh Gordon, but the Cornell Powell one I think is really interesting because, it's not as a returner for a wide receiver, right? I mean, because Fountain isn't a returner, but he's on, Saturday night when it was the first unit that was out there for those special teams for Tobe, Fountain was on the kickoff return and the kickoff coverage. And Justin Watson was on punt return and punt coverage. And so it's kind of those two combined to give you the four phase, like a Lamons and Lee and Cook and Bush and Gray and those guys that are, out there, every single special teams rep outside of maybe, a field goal block or something like that. And so those two guys combined that, if you then take one of those, Fountain, away, then Watson has to step up or somebody else has to step up. When really you're talking about how do you differentiate between the wide receivers? Like, I don't think you're keeping somebody as a 6 wide receiver that just can't play, that isn't a good wide receiver and only for special teams. I think, a number of those guys you would say, you would feel good about. I think Fountain makes the squad, and I'm rooting for Fountain to make the squad. But Cornell Powell's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that name before, but something to keep an eye on. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Last one for you. What have you seen from George Karlaftis? What you were hoping you would see in these first 2 preseason games?
Yeah, maybe even more so. He's a guy that I think opinions, especially through Chiefs fans, were very split on him coming into the draft. And I was a little all over the place with him because I could see why people liked him. I had significant hesitations. Then I kind of went back and watched him when he was younger, lighter, and he moved better. And then it kind of became, okay, if he can move like that again, I fully understand the player and the pick. He just needs to develop and, get older and stronger from what he showed as a freshman back in 2019. Well, the Chiefs are getting that. The Chiefs are getting the George Karlaftis that can actually turn a little bit, shows some flexibility, shows great burst off the line of scrimmage, but now he's also still just as strong as he was his final year at Purdue. So they're getting, I think, everything you could have asked for out of him, and I think it shows up on tape. Is he Von Miller? No, he's not going to run around, the corner and be completely untouched, but he's shown enough ability that if he can get that inside leg through, he can plant it, he can turn a relatively sharp corner and then explode out of that turn to go give chase, whether it's a rolling quarterback out of the pocket or to go get a sack. So I couldn't be happier with what we've seen. He obviously still has some development to go because his hands can be late. He kind of utilizes the same 2 or 3 moves every single rep, but you like what you've seen from a raw movement ability out of him compared to at least what I think we saw at Purdue this final season.
Yeah, I think one of the simple, stats that, you see from pass rushers, defensive ends, last year the Chiefs were so good at pressures, but they couldn't sack the quarterback. George Karlaftis, 5 pressures and 2 sacks from those. So, I'll take that ratio from Karlaftis this year. Somebody that actually bring the quarterback down when they get pressure. That'd be awesome. The Chiefs should look into that. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, you're the man. Really appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the last game, and then we'll start to get really hot and heavy for September 11th there in Glendale. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me on. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Absolutely. You too. There's Matt Lane. Good stuff from him. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. And again, if you want to check out his piece that he put up there at KC Sports Network with the stock watch on the cornerbacks, also the wide receivers as well. But it's an interesting point on the Blake Bell that honestly hadn't even thought about. Hey, what do you want to see tonight? Who's the 3rd tight end? If Travis Kelce doesn't play, and so it's Fortson and Gray, who's the 3rd and 4th tight end that they use? And if they go 2 tight end sets with a blocker, is it just Gray? Do they use Fortson in that role? Or is it a guy like, Bushman that is going to make the squad because he's a bigger guy and a BYU guy, and maybe he's a blocking tight end that, Blake Bell is not going to be on the team to start the season because of the surgery. And we know that Andy Reid likes that particular player on his team to be able to go the 2 tight end sets and have a blocker, whether it was Blake Bell or it was Kaiser or Bell again, that he wants those guys on the squad.
I have been so tempted by every Mike Gesicki trade rumor that I have seen pop up.
Is that right?
I wanted to mention it enough to point out that he is the on the tight end spectrum, Blake Bell is over here, and Gesicki is on the other side completely.
That's right.
He is basically a wide receiver.
He's Jody Fortson.
And at this point, actually, I think Jody Fortson might be more of a tight end, or at least it's close. It's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much fun as I think he would be in this offense, if the Dolphins did want to trade him, currently franchise tagged and all that. If you were having like a Travis Kelce long-term replacement sort of conversation or secondary weapon conversation, he'd be very interesting. But I wanted to point that out. If somebody's thinking, oh, hey, here's a tight end that I know of, not doing the same job that Blake Bell has been doing.
Yeah,
but would be very fun.
Gesicki more playing like almost in the slot.
Yeah, he has basically been used as a receiver
with the Dolphins,
which is sort of why like now they're looking in with Mike McDaniel. George Kittle is a linchpin of the San Francisco offense, the Shanahan offense. Gesicki's not that guy, and so does that fit work? I don't know. If he gets moved, whatever. But I would love to see him, be another pass catching weapon for the Chiefs. But he would not fix this problem if anybody was hoping he would.
Is it Smith or Smythe? I'm probably saying it wrong. Let's just go ahead and assume that I'm saying it wrong. With Miami, Durham, SMYTHE.
I think it's Smythe.
I think it's
Smythe. Smythe from the draft process.
As well. I think it's Smythe. And that's the guy that makes Gesicki a little more expendable, that may be a more truer tight end, that if they say, here are skill positions at wide receiver, that maybe we don't need just simply a slot tight end. We might need more of that traditional guy. Who knows? We'll see, because that San Francisco offense also had Juszczyk and Kittle.
Yep.
A couple of those guys there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next.
Are you looking for a career change? Let Sports Radio 810 help you with your search. Many local companies are hiring right now, and there's never been a better time to check those opportunities out. Go to 810WHB.com.
We got some sports or leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. We're getting into some of the things that we would like to see coming up tonight in the final preseason game. We're getting down to the noon hour. But I do want to ask a question, okay, on my Twitter, maybe not habits, but just simply usage of Twitter. So, obviously, Tyreek Hill has been a big conversation this offseason because, they did trade him.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep, formerly not number 10 for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's Pacheco.
Right, Isaiah Pacheco, the greatest number 10 in Chiefs history.
Well, let's not disrespect
Him or Trent Green.
Let's not disrespect Terrence Copper.
Or Terrence Copper.
Let's not disrespect him, okay? Pacheco, Green, Copper, whatever the three, and then maybe Hill after that. I don't know. But anyway.
Wow, Copper Green's over time, so there's something there. And then it turns to Pacheco. I don't know what that means.
Does it?
No, it doesn't mean anything.
Kind of went over
Sorry,
that hill.
went too far.
And
Hey!
Yes, absolutely. So,
Pistachio.
It's been a huge conversation.
Big
if
topic.
You didn't know that.
Big topic.
And he's got a podcast as well.
Sure does.
So, yes, it's been something that the attention of Kansas City and those in the media, myself included, obviously, has paid attention to and has continued to sort of talk about and discuss and try to find the details of what went on there. Because if it does not work, and this is from my vantage point as to why I continue to talk about it and want to find the details of it, is if it doesn't work, then you go back and say, how close were they to signing Tyreek Hill? And did they then make that mistake by not doing that?
Sure.
Because this is the route they took, and it didn't work. And the offense took a step back. Karlaftis was generic. McDuffie was just okay, but his arm limitations of being a Tyrannosaurus Rex apparently kept him from being a good enough cornerback and all of these other things, right? So, to me, it matters in the process and how they got there. How close were they actually to signing a deal before Devontae Adams was traded? And then it was like, oh, wait, the Raiders are going to give Devontae Adams a lot of money, and Tyreek is going to get even more money because he's not on a franchise tag. So he can demand some more if you were to trade for that guy. Okay. When that happened, it pretty much sealed the deal. We know that the reporting of that, Drew Rosenhaus talking about that. So we've discussed it a lot and what Tyreek Hill has said. So the advice I'm looking for is, at what point do I just simply ignore it and move on and fight against whether it's a personality flaw or it is something that I absolutely acknowledge, is that it is difficult for me to see something and not try to at least set the record straight when there is other data to support the other side.
Yeah.
Like if somebody were to tweet something mean at me, typically ignore it. But if somebody tweets something mean at me and then says, and the fact that you think Brett Veach is the worst general manager ever.
Right.
Well, I do have to respond to that because that's misrepresenting anything that I might have said. Instead of just simply ignoring it, I don't want that out there and people thinking that. So that is certainly something that I know I have to do.
That's interesting. That's self-aware.
So I bring it up because last night
It happened again.
I did it again.
No, he did it again. I mean, you both did it again, I guess.
It happened again.
It happened again, and it needed to be said.
Yeah, it happened again. So there was a graphic that was put out by somebody in Chiefs Kingdom. I don't think it was a media member or anything, but it was just, Patrick Mahomes was the most accurate passer last season. Also ranked 6th in accuracy rating against the zone. Oh, interesting. Which is where Juju should win off the line of scrimmage the most next season. And then somebody then, or that graphic then @tweeted Cheetah and said, somebody talk to @Cheetah for me. And then kind of a weird drunk face.
I believe it's the woozy emoji, technically.
Drunk, woozy, whatever. It's kind of the same thing. You get woozy after being drunk. Feel a little woozy here. So somebody then replied to that and said, Tyreek switching up still hurts, bro. And then Tyreek Hill, quote, tweeted that and said, I never switched up. They got rid of me, bro. Peace sign for Tyreek Hill, which is something we all know. I could have ignored it, maybe I should have ignored it. I don't know. But I want to find out what actually happened. I really do.
Yeah.
I would like to find out what actually happened, because if he thinks that they just got rid of him, well, then why does he think that? Is he just changing his story as the wind blows? And then it's whatever is beneficial to him on Wednesday, August 24th to tweet out versus what was beneficial on June 11th in the podcast that came out versus his press conference with the Dolphins at the first day of training camp. Like, whatever that particular day is. It's like, the people used to joke about Rick Pitino that how do you know he's lying? Well, he's talking.
His mouth opens and closes.
But there is a point of my defending Rick Pitino in that I believe Rick, when he's talking, actually believes the things that he is saying. I don't think he's lying at the time. I think while he's saying that, he really believes those to be true. And then a week later, he might say something different, whereas I don't think he was lying the week before. I just think now he believes that to be true because it may benefit him at that time. So he says, I never switched up. They got rid of me, bro.
We're in a real summer of Tyreek Hill because I thought that you were going to talk about the fact that he said he wanted to fight Jalen Ramsey.
No, but
I didn't even see this tweet.
No, but we can get into that.
We don't have to. That's this whole thing. I don't need any more of it.
Which, he says, bro, I think of Ray. Show you right, Ray. So I then quote tweeted and put Drew Rosenhaus. Quote, Tuesday, Veach offered Hill a surprisingly high number that had him seriously thinking about staying. I thought there was a really good chance we'd work out a deal and go back to Kansas City.
Well, this tweet popped off.
Next conversation with Tyreek was pro-Miami. He calls it his home away from home. That's his agent that said that Veach came in with a number that was surprisingly high. He didn't go to where, sorry, we offered you 24, get the hell out of here then. Surprisingly high that had them seriously thinking about staying to the point that we may return to Kansas City and the $30 million or whatever he got from Miami, it might have been negligible to a degree. And I thought there was a chance we were going to work out this deal and he was going to return to Kansas City. But the next conversation we had was pro-Miami. It was his home away from home. That ain't them getting rid of you. And that's your agent that said that. So where does the truth lie? Because I would like to know if the Chiefs were actually competitive with Tyreek Hill. Because it means a couple of things. It means that the Chiefs weren't just simply saying 25 and we're done, or we're going to trade you. It means that they were flexible with Tyreek Hill where they haven't been with others. And it would also mean that Tyreek didn't go, well, they lowballed me to a point I didn't have a choice. That he may have actually had a choice. And it also was not, we know, the first strategy for the Chiefs to then trade Tyreek Hill.
I'll give you your meta-analysis. We'll try to get to the core of you psychologically here in a second.
Please, thank you.
But there's one word in that quote that you said kind of quickly enough to get on to another point there. But the word staying, I think, is pretty telling. Because what is the opposite of staying? I know, this is tough.
Is it leaving?
It would be leaving is sort of what I was thinking. We've been on the same page today.
All right.
If you are thrown out, you don't get to say that you left. If you are kicked out, you can't say you were thinking about staying. I was thinking about staying for one more drink before they threw me out. No, you weren't. They were throwing you out.
We were thinking about staying for another couple of months. You were evicted.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were thinking about like squatters' rights. You know?
Right, yeah. So it's Tyreek Hill on squatters' rights territory. So I think, first of all, this makes me sick. This is a good point, Jason. It's a good tweet. Tweet popped off. I just hit it with enough extra little retweet. Going to try to get your whole other wave today.
Odd that it popped off like that.
Well, that's your answer to your original question. I think we stop talking about Tyreek Hill when it stops relating to the Chiefs for the most part. Now, look, if he goes on and has a Hall of Fame career, which he probably will.
Yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Fame.
But if he continues on his path, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he's an all-pro catching passes from to a T this year, we can talk about him in the frame of look at what the Chiefs gave up, or if the Chiefs' offense looks constipated all year long, we can say, man, how different would this be with Tyreek Hill? Is that a funny? You don't like that word? You don't like the word choice?
I'm just saying that,
I use that word sometimes about.
Didn't know that Tyreek Hill turned into an enemy of the Chiefs. Go ahead,
That was
please.
pretty good too, man. You're on a heater today. I think that's probably the line for when we should stop particularly caring about what he's saying and doing.
Mm-hmm.
But he also was the fourth most important member of this era of Chiefs football, and it would be 3 if you wanted to say players. I'm just counting Andy Reid over him. And arguably, you could put him anywhere from 2 to 4, I guess. He's going to be relevant here forever. I mean, for all of the most obvious reasons. I do think a lot about what it is to see something on Twitter or whatever and walk away, because your idea of, well, if you just say, "Hey, Jason, you suck," you can just move on. You can't say, "No, I'm not. No, I don't," because
you know what, your mom.
Right, exactly. Like you're saying that hanging from monkey bars, right? Like you're on the playground. But whenever it's, "Jason, you suck," and you think Brett Veach sucks, I totally understand that absolute reflexive sort of thing of like, "No, I don't. Let me correct you. Let me type. I want to type." But
don't want a misrepresentation of what I said. I say plenty of dumb stuff that you can go after me for.
And I think my strategy just within the Twitter space that way is I started to realize eventually that responding to somebody who's just there to stir up bleep is they have accomplished their mission. Now more people are seeing the tweet because now they've engaged with you.
I know.
It happens all the time. Kevin Durant is, I still have his push notifications on, even though apparently he's staying in Brooklyn, and I'm just waiting for my heart to be broken even more. But, like, he quote tweets a lot of people with 5 followers. Like, he did a few days ago, somebody who was verified with 47 followers. And now he's amplifying them. Is that good? If it's what he wants to do, so be it. But that's a win for the trolls, you know? So that's a tough needle to thread, and also Tyreek Hill might now kind of be one of the trolls as well.
I mean, it kind of feels like it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour. We'll get into some actual Chiefs players for the Chiefs coming up in the noon hour, and then some sports or leisure at 1 o'clock. More Zone next.
For NFL action, there's only one station to follow all season long. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports Radio 810 is the home of NFL Sundays, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday Night Football. And Sports Radio 810 is your home for the NFL playoffs. Follow the NFL on Kansas City's hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
1 week. 1 week away. Think about how long you've wanted to or thought maybe you would never be able to go and bet on your favorite sports or a team from the comfort of your own home and do it legally. Not like .Europe, .illegal, .government may come and take all of your earnings very soon. You don't want to go that route. You don't have to. Coming up September 1st, DraftKings Sportsbook coming to the Sunflower State, and you're going to be able to bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. And to celebrate, all new customers will receive $100 in free bets when you sign up using code 810WHB, 810WHB. Plus, one lucky customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook giving you $100 in free bets just for signing up today with no deposit required. And then you'll be able to go and bet on those money lines and spreads and props and Chiefs over-unders of 10.5 this year, and the win total, I kind of like the over there. You can do that DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus, you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code 810WHB to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, one customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's code 810WHB only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus.
coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll play some sports or leisure. Next hour, we'll talk Chiefs to see what we are going to be looking for in the game. And also, Bill Barnwell put out at ESPN his top teams that are expected to improve this year, top teams that he is looking at to have a decline this year. So, obviously, well, a lot of teams will improve. No, he's got 5 teams in each category that he thinks are the most likely. So, I want to look at those two and see what the connection is to the Chiefs, if there is one. But there is some bad news with K-State women's basketball, and that is Ayoka Lee, who had the 61 points last year, is out for the season. She will have season-ending surgery to repair an injury in her knee. And that just sucks because she is so freaking good. And you want to talk about, preseason awards and being on all these, Player of the Year categories and then just not even getting to see her play. So that's tough. She's got 2 more years of eligibility left, but still. Tough day for K-State women's basketball with Ayoka Lee being out for the year now. So that news just coming down about 10 minutes ago or so. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll continue rolling on a Thursday. It's The Zone.
Hey, this is SSJ, and I want you to join my team for the Alzheimer's Association.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chiefs-Packers coming up tonight. We got pregame at 6. We got postgame with Jack Johnson coming up at, maybe 10 o'clock? Maybe 10:15? 10:30, something like that? Really, I mean, you could start the postgame at about, 7:45, 8 o'clock.
I think I did do that one year. I think we started postgame like at the end of the third quarter. I can't remember for sure. Definitely on the table, though.
We did the last year of Bobby Petrino in Louisville, which was a disaster. He won 2 games and then got fired. We did a post-game show that started in the third quarter because they were down like 30 because it just got so bad. They lost by like 40 to Georgia Tech on a Friday night game.
Lord.
And I think the post-game show started in the third quarter. We were like, bleep it. And the phone lines were packed with people talking about that team while they were still getting ran.
Incredible.
Just getting punked, man. This would be different.
Yeah.
This would be what else you going to see? You know, because I do wonder, like, if like in a candid moment, if coaches were giving you the full-on truth, honesty, how much do they get from the third preseason game? And how much is the hay in the barn already for what the 53-man roster is going to look like? Because, like, if they're trying to decide, do we keep 6 cornerbacks or not? Are we going to keep Jalen Watson or Chris Lamons? Because then you're like, okay, well, yeah, we're going to do that. All right, then you can only keep 5 linebackers. Who are they? Well, then they're going to be Bolton and Willie Gay, and Elijah Lee is there as the starter, and then Chenal we drafted, and then Darius Harris is your backup green dot. There's your 5. So that means you're getting rid of Carter? Well, yeah, it's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
So what can Carter do tonight to make the squad? I don't think he can. If you're keeping 6 cornerbacks, it's hard to see that he could do that. And then, like, wide receivers, that last spot I do believe is up for grabs. I think there may be a Fountain, Gordon, Matt Lane said Cornell Powell for the first time. I've heard somebody even mention him and say, yeah, but he's a really awesome special teamer. So if you're getting that from your 6th receiver and he can be a 4-phase guy like you hope maybe Justin Watson can be, but if Watson starts earning more and more playing time, well, then you need somebody to be that 4-phase guy. And if you're not really getting much from Josh Gordon as a receiver, and it's maybe negligible between Reese Fountain and Cornell Powell, maybe Powell has an opportunity tonight to go, by the way, catch the footballs thrown your way. Stop dropping the ball. You know,
that's
things like
the
that.
thing. Like I think that at this point, maybe Andy Reid or Brett Veach someday would tell us a little bit differently. But I think right now the biggest value of this game and the biggest value of most of the preseason, but especially to this point, is getting live hot reps for Leo Chanel and units who haven't worked together, right? Like saying, hey, just you get some bullets flying around you here and get used to some game speed. It's not quite the same, but it's much closer than you saw in training camp or whatever. But I have to think that from a roster construction standpoint, they're close because let's say that who of those receivers you just mentioned, who's the guy that you think is the farthest out? Is it Cornell Powell? So he has the longest shot of that group?
Yeah, not even mentioned of those 3. Yeah, not even mentioned like Corey Coleman.
Whatever.
But Powell, yes, of the 3.
If Corey Coleman tonight has 4 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns from Shane Buechele and Dustin Crum, does that get him a spot? If he is stupendous, if he makes an incredible play, we go, wow, that's the first wow play we've seen from Cornell Powell. If it's a vintage OBJ single-handed behind the head kind of catch, if it's a cut-up field, if he's just getting separation all day. If the Chiefs think that he is 98% not making this roster as of 12:05 p.m., by 10:05 p.m. tonight, can he get himself a roster spot? And obviously, you don't want to see injuries in the preseason. No, we don't mention that enough. But like, other than 2 or 3 dudes in front of him getting hurt, I don't know what the pathway is there. Or unless it's maybe special teams, like Matt said, and that's a whole other ball of wax. I'm saying as a wide receiver.
As a wide receiver, yeah.
I don't know if Josh Gordon or Cornell Powell or Corey Coleman or any of those guys can really do much of anything, and certainly 2 of them can't because it seems like we're boiled down to 1 spot.
Do you think there'd be any value to letting Mahomes call in the plays tonight, giving him, a list of 25 and saying, here's your menu, you can call the plays into the quarterbacks?
That'd be awesome. I love it.
It went poorly for Kyler Murray. I bet Patrick Mahomes would have a nice quarter of play calling.
But do you think there'd be any, positive effect from having him be on that side of it?
I think it would, because I think he might get a better understanding of, like, okay, when this play's called or when that play's called, and okay, when a play is over and he immediately turns around and does that little, finger thing. We're like, give me the play. What's the next play?
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was thinking about that in one of the first
love
2
that
games.
thing.
I bet that pisses Andy Reid off at least a little bit.
Next play. Here we go. We're already past that. Whatever that was. Next play. Let's go.
Eric Daniels was like, I know, man. I'm not. You don't need to remind me.
I'm aware of the play clock.
Yes.
Like, it's not a new. This brand new thing. It's not a pitch clock in baseball. We've been dealing with this for a while. I think there's some value in that, because he's talked about when he was on the shop of calling your own plays and going through the 2-minute drill. And it's like, okay, do you have somebody in your ear during the 2-minute drill? And he's like, yeah, I'm not at that level yet. There's a lot of things that I need to improve on, but I'm not at the level of calling a play and knowing sort of what the timing is of that play and when to call it. And the example he brought up was they were in like a goal-to-go situation or something, and he said that, this opponent had been doing one thing that they had been seeing on film, and they had been doing it in the game, and so that's the play he thought to beat that particular defense. And he said all of a sudden Andy Reid calls a zone beater, and Mahomes was or a man beater. Said he calls a man beater, and Mahomes was like, what are you doing? He goes out there, and the defense is in man. And he was like, it just sort of blew my mind that it's like, I'm not nearly at that level of seeing the game like that.
Yeah.
And when I get to that level, then, I'll probably, be able to, on a 2-minute drill, to do some of those things. But so I think there could be some absolute value in that.
It would be interesting. It would be fun. Whenever you think about what I think that story is about the things that do happen over the course of the week. I think we talked about this a little bit, maybe around that Sean McVay story from a couple weeks ago. But like you have these coaches coming in with their laminated sheets that are situationally broken up.
Yeah.
And you have all of the scouting that goes into the week of preparing for that team. Obviously, it's different in the preseason. But so you're not just working through a Madden book of you're not going by formation necessarily. You're going situationally, and then what you know about that team and what you know about your own team and all of that. So I wonder how much of that could be recreated, or again, do you just sort of let him call plays like Madden, or just give him the play sheet that has the situational stuff and let him work with it and see what happens in a preseason game? I don't know what the harm would be. I think it'd be fun.
Well, if he's wearing the 16 jersey on the sideline, it would be a throwback to Len Dawson calling his own game.
Yes, that would be. It would be kind of fun.
The quarterback doing that.
Yeah.
What I can guarantee, though, is that if he's not calling the plays, which I don't expect him to do, he'll have the earpiece in his ear. And when he is not in the game, he being Justin Watson, he will be standing next to Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Because that is a smart individual. I know he's a smart individual because the entire Commanders game, when they showed Mahomes on the sideline, Watson was standing next to him.
It's a good place to be as a wide receiver.
Absolutely. You think Garrett Dieter gets jealous?
Wow.
You think Dieter's jealous of somebody like starting to,
wide receiver trying to
trespass
be
on his territory? Like, he's marked that territory already, right? He's peed on that fire hydrant.
I want maybe, or is it a passing of the baton? Now that Dieter's like officially retired, maybe he looks and says, "Hey, Justin, you can try. But there's only one OG here.
You can try. Yeah, give it a shot. Okay, please. I dare you, Justin. I dare you to try to be the guy that drives him around. It ain't happening. Okay, not everybody. You're not going to be his turtle. All right, I'm his turtle forever. Right, Pat? Like, I don't know. Maybe he does, but I think Justin Watson is smart enough to know that, what if I just always stood around Patrick Mahomes? Then I can get an idea of what he might be thinking, even in plays that I'm not in on those. And that's where, like, when we talk about guys playing their way on or playing their way off of a roster, when they were down in Dallas and Mahomes mentioned Justin Watson, like, I asked Brett Veach, like, this Justin Watson, like, where do you get him from? Like, he's fast. Like, cool. He's fast. Neat.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. So anyway, let's talk about guys that we would care about.
The guys who will be on the team.
Are going to actually be on the team.
Uh-huh.
And when training camp started, it felt like it was Juju, MVS, Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, in whatever order you want to put those guys in, Josh Gordon, and then who's the sixth receiver going to be?
I think you're right.
And now it's, I don't see why Josh Gordon's on the team. I don't see why he would be making the squad because of what Justin Watson has done and having the trust of Patrick Mahomes as well, and the fact that they do like Reese Fountain, and he gives them special teams, and Watson can be a four-phase special teams guy as well. I think those things matter, and Josh Gordon has not done nearly enough as a wide receiver to show that he's that much better than Watson or Fountain that you're going to give up an ability for your fifth or sixth receiver to play special teams for just strictly this wide receiver. If Gordon was awesome as a wide receiver, and it's like, yeah, but you need a special teamer. Okay, find it somewhere else. The conversation we had a couple of weeks ago when we were at the Midland of, yeah, if I'm saying that this is going to make my depth or overall positional group worse than another player because this guy can play special teams, yeah, I want Dave Tobe, who's the best special teams coach in the NFL that we're told, to figure it out. Find somebody else, right? Because I'm not going to make my wide receiver room worse because you want somebody to go and cover kicks. Figure it out. We need to decide on who's going to win games, the 11 on offense and 11 on defense. Special teams matters, but you need to figure those things out first and foremost in the 53-man roster. But Gordon has not done anywhere near the level to where you would say, yeah, he deserves to be on the team, and even though he doesn't play special teams, he's a guy you got to have out there. Because even when he played last year, I haven't seen anything. Then in the off season, Josh, he was talking about, well, I needed to get back into shape. I needed to learn the playbook more. Like all of these things that were said about what it was going to look like this now training camp and preseason is going to be different has just been much the same that we saw last year from Gordon.
Yeah, and that I was willing to, I don't want to say buy the hype. I don't think I was taking any cash out of my pocket, but I was willing to hear out the hype of all of that because there's absolutely something to, hey, I tried to grab onto a moving train and it just ripped my arm off. Like that, there's a logic to that.
There's a logic to grabbing onto a moving train. And
well, yeah, fair enough.
You lost me there.
Man, listen, you didn't see Bullet Train. I'm just telling you. No one's arm comes off.
I did see Bullet
Oh,
Train.
you did see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think about that movie pretty frequently now. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
I think about moving trains.
I'm thinking of a completely different movie.
We
That's
had
the new
had
one
the
that we
watch
had.
party.
Yeah, I have not seen Bullet Train. Was that a spoiler alert? Did somebody grab onto a train and fly with it?
No, nobody. Well, nobody had an arm fly off. I'll tell you. I'll save that spoiler.
Thank goodness.
Well, nobody had the thing I just described. Is not a scene from Bullet Train.
Okay, but somebody. People do lose arms and limbs.
There is some violence in the film. I will warn you of that. Yes, I will warn you. There is some violence.
It's too bad.
But like I kind of buy that idea a little bit that there's a difficulty on that learning curve, and so I was hoping to see Josh Gordon be maybe not a super speedy receiver at this point in his career, but the type of guy that's like running crisp routes and creating separation with his body, strong at the point of the catch, all of that. I was hopeful for that. It doesn't seem like that's coming to fruition. If they want to throw him on the practice squad because he's your second wide receiver 5, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Where he's not a special teamer, but if Doris Fountain gets hurt, could Josh Gordon find a spot on the team? Maybe. That still might be Cornell Powell, though, honestly, again, because Fountain and Watson will both play some teams.
But if Watson gets hurt.
If Watson or Fountain,
I would say more Watson, and here's my reasoning on Watson is, and now we're down in just like the mud here, but
this is the day of the last preseason game, baby.
And by the way, I love it. I just love it. That's why we keep talking about it, because I absolutely love it.
We're not going to talk about him in September.
If Watson were to get hurt, I would think that Watson's going to be playing more snaps on offense, more than maybe a guy you would look as a fifth wide receiver, so therefore it's going to be almost all special teams. That then you would have somebody come in and play that's just more reps as a wide receiver as opposed to, well, I need a receiver and a special teamer. And then whatever Watson is doing on special teams, Fountain, I think, can make up for. Because right now, he is and Dave Tobe have them split. Fountain is on kick returns and kick coverage. Justin Watson is on punt returns and punt coverage. So then if Watson gets hurt, well, guess what, Doris? Then now you're just going to pick up the punt team as well, and Josh Gordon's coming into the number 5 spot.
I think we had the same line of thinking, but I think I still was making Watson wide receiver 6. I'm putting that in air quotes because of all the special teams, but your point, we're on the same page on it. I think Watson is actually wide receiver 5 on what this roster is, but I'm thinking of 5 being a guy that is your backup pass catcher, and 6 is the guy that's your special teams ace or whatever. And again, man, we are oinking in the mud right now, just rolling around in it. But if it ends up being one of those guys that we've spent plenty of breath on at this point, you almost hope that it doesn't end up mattering on the offensive side because it means something has probably gone wrong. I'm not sure when you want to talk about the Bill Barnwell topic and everything that we kind of kicked around during the break some, but it reminded me of something that I thought about cutting the audio, but honestly the audio wasn't great, but the topic was interesting. I was listening to the Mina Kimes show featuring Lenny and Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders was on. And he was saying that on the research they have over years, a team who loses an elite wide receiver in an offseason suffers more than the team gaining the elite wide receiver improves. So that scale is not 1-to-1. Now, he also went on to say, hey, look, the Titans probably didn't do enough. The Chiefs did a lot more than some of these other teams. The Packers probably didn't do enough, especially if Christian Watson's not ready to go a whole lot sooner than it seems like he's going to be ready to go. So this was not a specific death knell for the Chiefs. This was looking at all of those big-name receivers who moved, but that there is a pretty large threat there in how you try to replace that guy. That obviously just sparked from all of the receiver talk that we're having.
Yeah.
I think Justin Watson could have, again, I think I said on Monday, I think he's going to catch a touchdown this year. If I could just put a nice little bet down on that.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Seems very, very plausible.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But ultimately, we do have a little bit of preseason brain right now, which is that we spend more time talking about Fountain, Watson, Gordon, Powell than we do talking about Juju right now because we haven't seen him play in the preseason. We haven't seen him catch a pass.
But here's my theory behind that. And that
I think it's reasonable, by the way. It is the preseason, so we have preseason break.
Well, it's not even that, though. Like, my theory behind that is last year, you had Tyreek Hill. You knew that. It was Tyreek, it was Travis Kelce. Okay, those were the two guys. And then it kind of felt interchangeable across the board with those guys. Like, McCole was used a certain way, but then Pringle, Robinson, Kemp, whoever else might have been in the mix there. It was kind of Gordon. It was kind of just interchangeable of like, all right, there's a guy. You know, it's Tyreek, it's Kelce, a little McCole because he's got the speed, and then players that are just kind of guys. Whereas without Tyreek Hill, that depth matters now because you need all those different. If you're going to say the whole is going to be greater than the sum of its parts to be a better wide receiver room and skill position, aspect than what you had from last year with Tyreek Hill, then who's the fourth and the fifth does start to matter. Because if Juju goes down, it's not going to be the difference of losing Tyreek Hill to then the next, the number 2 receiver last year.
Yes, absolutely.
Juju to whether it's MVS or Sky Moore or McCole this year won't be that big of a drop-off. But if you start to have a couple of receivers go down, now you don't have Tyreek, and now the other guys aren't going to be better than what you had a year ago. So therefore, so in that scenario, that's why I think it matters, and my theory behind why we've spent more time discussing the 5th and 6th receiver on this squad this year than we ever did last year, because it kind of didn't matter because they were all interchangeable after Tyreek Hill, but you had Tyreek Hill. And that was the main thing. And everybody else was made better because of the defense worrying about number 10.
I agree with all of that. And I thought I had the order of this right. I did get one surprise here that's just going to leave you absolutely tickled. But on last year's offense, Tyreek Hill leads the team in receiving. Travis Kelce close behind, both over 1,000 yards. Do you want to take a guess? Third
last year.
Don't think about this one too hard.
Was McCole.
Yep, just under 700 yards for him.
Yeah.
Then
Byron Pringle.
A little under 600 yards. And I will say right now, Byron Pringle as your 4th leading pass catcher. This is where what you just were talking about there. There's not going to be a Tyreek Hill at the top of it, but it's going to be Travis Kelce, McCole Hardman, and then some dudes who are a bigger part of the offense than Byron Pringle was. He got plenty of work. Do you remember who number 5 was?
Overall player on the team or receiver / tight end?
5th in receiving yards.
Darrell Williams?
Darrell freaking Williams.
Yeah.
452.
Take
DeMarcus
that,
Robinson.
Take that,
260.
doubters. Huh?
Bring him home. Bring him home.
Interesting.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 129 receiving yards. That was 22 more yards receiving than Jerick McKinnon.
It's 129 more yards than I remember.
Yeah,
having last year.
Well, his long would have been 29. So there must have been one nice little breakaway there that it's currently escaping me. But it's not Darrell Williams mossing a dude, so
no, it's not. It's
not quite as memorable.
It's not McKinnon being otherworldly at times in the playoffs when it looked like, okay, this guy might be the difference maker that they need. maybe they should have given him the ball a little bit more in the second half against the Bengals. But whatever. Those things tend to happen. So, obviously, we spent a lot of time on wide receivers there, but any other thing that, because I wanted to get into what we were looking for tonight, and then next segment talk about the Bill Barnwell piece about teams to improve and decline. But wide receivers is, one of those. But number one for me is I would really like to see the Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes is not playing, then I don't need to see the receivers in the passing game with Chad Henne. I want to see that with Patrick Mahomes while he's in there. With Chad Henne in there, I want to see the running game. I want to see them try to run the ball more often.
First-team offensive line at that point?
Yeah, I would like to see the first-team offensive line for a possession or two.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
And then, work on the run game and do that. Hopefully it's not 2 3-and-outs. But, try to extend the down and extend the chains if you can with passing. But more times than not, you're running the football because, 1, it doesn't matter. 2, Mahomes isn't in the game. And 3, I don't want them to run the ball more. I just want them to be more efficient at doing it.
Totally.
So this is an opportunity for you to go out there and say, you know what, let's turn into Air Force. Let's be Navy for a second. Let's run that wing T. Let's see what happens. Chad, you're good at running the football. Let's do this. I
think watching that happen in a Chiefs uniform would scar me so much that I might have to take off Friday. Here's a real, I don't think you probably have player-specific prop bets on a preseason game, which is probably for the best. But I bet you'd get some decent odds on this. I think there's a non-zero chance Ronald Jones gets 25 carries. Because
I'd like to see him get some carries with the first team.
I would love that. Because partially to help us gauge where he's at. Now, I have a whole other conspiracy to follow. But if he has 20, 25 carries and most of those come in the first half, either you see what you want to see and he justifies his roster spot, or somebody else sees him and goes, I like Ronald Jones. Yeah, we'll give you a 6th or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think that would be the logic behind it. Here's something I just thought of. So Derek Gore on IR, obviously. Ronald Jones played either none or very little on Saturday. Did he get any work on Saturday?
He didn't get a carry.
I don't think he got a carry, at least.
He did play snaps, but he didn't get a carry. Let me see what the snap count was for him.
Is there any chance at all that the Chiefs just know they are keeping Ronald Jones and don't feel the need to put him out there? Don't need to just get hit as a running back right now? I think having him play as late as he did in the first preseason game and the fact that everybody at camp says he has not looked particularly good probably debunks that pretty quickly. But I wonder if there's any chance that they're just like, hey, we're keeping 4. You're our 4th. We're good. We'll see you. We'll see you in September.
Here are the running back snap counts.
From Saturday?
From Saturday.
Against Washington?
Against Washington. McKinnon had 7. Edwards-Helaire had 8. Ronald Jones had 9.
Okay.
Jerry and Ely had 10. Fleet Davis had 11. Pacheco had 15. Gore had 18.
Okay.
I wonder, obviously not Fleet Davis and Gore because those are different. I think Fleet Davis is the 6th of those, right? But it is interesting. He didn't get a carry, did Ronald Jones. But, the snap count, does that make a difference? As in, McKinnon, Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, and then let's see what we have in Pacheco and Gore and Fleet Davis because Ronald Jones, you know what you have in him. You've seen him on film and you've seen him. Do you really need to, go and have him run the football? We're trying to figure out who Pacheco is going to be and what his role might be. I don't know. It's also a matter of when those snaps came for Ronald
100%.
Jones, too.
And now the thing that I've done that's really brilliant is that I think I've presented pretty much every angle on the Ronald Jones argument. So no matter what, if he makes the team, misses the team, practice squad, traded, whatever, I'm going to get to say, well, I told you this could happen. I think I've unless he just retires. And you know what? Hey, if Ronald Jones retires, he just realized he didn't have it in the tank anymore. Okay, now I've covered that. I've covered every angle of it.
Let me do this one. Ronald Jones backup to Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Just in case. We told you that it could happen.
It could happen.
I want to really cover all the bases here.
An asteroid could be on a collision course with planet Earth, and Ronald Jones could be the one who catches it and pushes it back out into the atmosphere.
Just in case that happened?
It could happen. I told you it could happen.
That's right.
Anyway. I want to see George Karlaftis again.
We will take credit for that.
Yes, I will take credit for anything.
Yes.
You should give it to us.
Yep, I'm with you. And George Karlaftis,
Can he do it
McDuffie.
Can he do it all 3 games in a row? Can he have another one of the sponge motor sacks where he's just churning through double teams or whatever, and then 7 seconds into the drop back, he just consumes Jordan Love? He is the guy at this point who, when the defense is out there, I'm gonna try not to watch the ball. I'm probably not even gonna watch the linebackers. I'm just gonna try to find George Karlaftis out there and just see what he does on a play-to-play basis. The other thing is I just want to see who plays and when. It's the same deal as every preseason game, but especially now, if a lot of the starters aren't out there, you're gonna have a very, very, very good read on what the second team and third team really is.
Yeah, definitely paying attention to the secondary too, and
it's just hard to watch on the broadcast.
I know, right?
I wish we had a better solution for that.
I would like there to be an option of an all 22 to watch. In
live? Oh my goodness!
I would love to do
imagine?
that. But like Watson,
do you like the behind the quarterback camera that they experimented with a little bit?
Not really.
It's disorienting.
Yeah, not really.
But that's also what it is to play quarterback. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But we've been trained to watch football a certain way,
side to side,
and then to flip that makes it really difficult to do.
But it lets you see the outside.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't even disagree.
I
just want to see. I want to see the secondary move.
I like the replays.
Yes.
From the end zone angle to see what that quarterback was kind of looking at. Although we're like 20 feet in the air on the camera, as opposed to that quarterback being 6 feet, 6.5 feet, whatever it might be.
Here's my last time I'm going to interrupt you this segment. Then you can take a break. We can do our whole thing. I promise.
No, Drake said keep going.
Thanks, Drake. Appreciate that. I mentioned yesterday that I was using my friend's Oculus headset a couple days ago and playing VR really for the first time. This just hit me, but the millisecond that good football VR starts happening, it is going to be a trip. If they can do anything resembling feeling like they are putting you inside a face mask while you're playing Madden and you are doing it from the quarterback position, first of all, I bet it would feel amazing to play. I'm thinking about just like the motions and stuff. I bet that would be incredible. But also, I think if they do it realistically in any form or fashion, it will immediately make a lot of people respect like Blake Bortles a lot more, because if you can look competent doing that and not have poop in your pants, that is impressive.
Well, finally, Kyler Murray would have a reason to play some video games.
This is Andrew Bogish with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Angie. Angie's List is now Angie. Tackle home projects big and small at Angie.com. As the PGA Tour continues to respond to LIV Golf, some want to credit the LIV golfers for triggering the Tour's response. No thank you. But we can definitely discuss why the PGA didn't take LIV more seriously to begin with and maybe avoid most of this. I'm Andrew Bogish.
I wanted to pass along a note before we got into the football conversation with Bill Barnwell and his 5 teams to improve and 5 teams to decline this upcoming season. And that is, if you are a fan of the U.S. women's national team, they are going to be training at the KC Current training facility ahead of the friendly that's coming up against Nigeria here in Kansas City. So that is September 3rd. That would be a week from Saturday is when the friendly with Nigeria is going to take place at Children's Mercy. August 29th through September 1st, the U.S. Women's National Team is going to be training at the KC Current training facility, which is pretty awesome that they'll be, in town doing those things and just, whether we can actually go out and watch them train. To me, it's just another example of like the money that has been spent, the investment in the facilities and the infrastructure of, the professional teams in town and the NWSL and a league that has come and gone and, women's professional soccer that has had different iterations of that through the years. And you've got a league and you've got an ownership that's building a soccer-specific, team-specific stadium while having these training facilities that are as good as you see in Europe for some of the women's national teams that are there, and that's for this KC Current team here.
And even that, a lot of those huge clubs, in Europe that you're thinking of, those facilities get used for the men's and the women's teams for some of those big clubs, which is the other reason that what they're working on here for the Current is going to be the genuinely first of its kind for women's soccer. We don't need to keep justifying this anymore. The World Cup is already on the way. We've got that locked down. But every little reminder like this of, again, the U.S. Women's National Team training in Kansas City, playing this game in Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park, and continuing to make Kansas City a staple of international soccer, really, in a country that still calls it soccer. We are the outlier there. But I wonder if it hits for people. I guess that this might include me, but I wonder if it really hits for people who did not grow up loving soccer or don't really care on the level they care about their American football that's ingrained in their family's traditions and everything. Mm-hmm. But man, that was me. I played soccer 1 year as a kid or whatever, and I knew about the Wizards.
I played one game of soccer,
and you were great in it.
Coming up almost a week from that anniversary.
It was really, your debut was a glorious one. But being in Kansas City for the revolution of sporting, for now what the Current have done for the World Cup just being a few years away now, it feels like, it has given me such a grander appreciation for what this means, not just for America or not just for the sport, but for Kansas City wrapped up in all of that. Every little chance we get to kind of appreciate that Kansas City is carving out a real spot for itself in the biggest sport in the world is just really freaking cool.
Allison Howard, I should say, the current team president. Met her on Friday night. That was a blast. We got to go out on the pitch.
Yes,
for the
you're already learning.
Ceremonial kick. She says, we're honored to host the U.S. Women's National Team at our facility while they are in Kansas City. We built this facility for world-class athletes, and we are excited to be the training home of the best national team in the world while they are here. So we built this facility. Kind of sounds like... we built this.
We built this facility.
Starship. We built this facility for world-class athletes.
Yeah, you found it. You got there.
So maybe she was just listening to that song at the time. All right, let's get into Bill Barnwell and his piece on the decline in teams. Teams most likely to decline in 2022 and the teams most likely to improve in 2022. He just came up with 5 different teams in each category. And the reason I found it to be interesting is because there's a connection to the Chiefs. Not that the Chiefs are one of the 10 teams that he ends up listing here, but there's a connection with a couple of them that are one of those teams. Let's get into the teams most likely to decline in 2022. It says that numbers and history and breaking those things down just as to why they would be a lesser win-loss team expected than what they ended up being last year.
So based on their records from last year. Okay.
Titans were 12-5 last year. He's got them first up.
Yeah.
And he says they were 5th on the team on his list a year ago, and he said it wasn't a great decision that he had them there. They are a team that went 7-2 in one-score games, and typically when you go 7-2 in one-score games or 6-2 in one-score games, which is what they were last year, so they are 13-4 in one-score games. The last 2 years have been the Tennessee Titans, and Bill Barnwell writes here that when teams, historically, teams that win 5 more close games than they lose in a given year go from almost an 820 winning percentage down to a 447 winning percentage the next year. Like, it's drastic. But the Titans then bucked that trend this last year by then doubling down and going from 7-2 to 6-2. So his doubling down is now that there's got to be you play in these one-score games. Yeah, you might have skill and be able to do those things, but ultimately over time, they even out. Like, there's not one team that's just like, you win every single close game because it's football, the ball bounces a certain way, you're going to beat the Ravens, and then a fumble happens. Right. Like, okay, well, that's one play at that one time. Does it make you less skilled of winning close games? Okay, well, then riddle me this, Batman. What happened in the divisional round game against the Bills if they're not a good team that can win close games, okay? So there's got to be some sort of regression to the mean, and he's expecting like maybe a bigger comeback to earth. Without A.J. Brown, throw that in there as well. They brought in Jalen Burks. We'll see what he can do. And Derrick Henry had the injury last year, so is he getting to a point to where he's going to be broken down, or did he save some tread on the tire by not playing and taking all those snaps last year? So the Titans are number 1.
I have a quick zone procedural question.
Yes.
If you get like one letter wrong, should I correct you on a
Yes.
name, or should we just let it go? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Traylon. You made him Jaylon. I don't know. Like,
Did I say Jay? I thought I said Traylon.
Yeah, with Jay. It's fine. See, that was the one that was like, I think I probably should have.
Wow, I thought I said Traylon.
I know you know his name. We've talked about him multiple times.
Right.
And so my instinct there was just let it go.
No, because
I don't think that's like, oh, Jason's so dumb. He called him Jimmy Burks. It's like, well, that's not that. I don't know.
It's James Burks, but that's
James.
fine.
He goes
Yes.
by James. I call him Jimmy.
His good friends call him James.
Yeah.
So he's got
That
Titans
makes
sitting
sense.
at number 1.
I think you would.
Yep.
Can I get?
Yes.
Is there a AFC South team in the improve section?
There is an AFC South team in the improved section.
Is there more than one?
There is not more than one.
I think the AFC South might have 2 teams hop the Titans.
Jags.
Dun dun dun, and not the Texans.
Colts.
That is right.
I figured
You had it.
process of elimination. I
not
was
the
going
Texans.
to get there. So Titans number 1
Okay.
on his list of teams that he feels like are going to regress this year. That has a Chiefs connection because you're talking about teams in the AFC.
Sure.
And the Titans have been in the playoffs. Number 2, he's got the Packers. It's interesting, but he talks about Devontae Adams not really taking advantage of or going out and doing enough to replace that. Some other numbers that are in there, but it's the Packers. It's the NFC. Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Third team, the Raiders. They were 10-7 last year, and he talks about how, odd, we went from a team that traded away Devontae Adams and the Packers and talking about that to a team that then traded for Devontae Adams, yet here they are on this list, and a team that went 10-7 a year ago. But as he points out, the point differential was that of a 7-win team last year. That they were outscored by 65 points on the season. From 1989 to 2020, 5 teams with at least 10 wins were outscored at all during the regular season, and no team was within 30 points of where the Raiders finished last season in terms of the win-loss record. They were outscored by 65 points and still got to 10 wins. And he points out that if you're looking at reasons for that, they were 6-7, got blown out by the Chiefs to sit 6-7, and it was going to be, what are they doing next year? And then they went up against the Browns with Nick Mullins. They went up against the Broncos when Drew Lock was stepping in. They went up against Carson Wentz I believe, non-Carson, or maybe that was the game he just got back with the Colts.
It was Carson Wentz or worse.
Absolutely. And then a legitimate win at the end of the year, overtime against the Chargers. But they got in position to be 9-7 by being 6-7 and then playing teams that were inferior and playing second-string, third-string quarterbacks there, and points out that they were 7-2 in games decided by 7 points or fewer. And they went 4-0 in overtime. Second team in the last 30 years to be 4-0, at least, in overtime games.
That one feels very valid to me.
Mhm.
Here's my one
and also,
little pushback.
One other thing is they went 3-1 in the 4 games that they played against backup quarterbacks. They went 7-6 when they played against the opposing team's starter.
Those are noteworthy items, no question. I do think, though, that I'm kind of scrolling back through here. I'm trying to remember when the Henry Ruggs stuff all happened. Because
Well, absolutely. That's 100% true.
Because the defense, I don't know that it's gotten any better. I don't know that it is any good. But the one thing that I keep going back to is that I think when Ruggs was at his most effective, might have even been a little bit before Hunter Renfrow fully kind of came out. And now they have, frankly, an upgrade over Ruggs. Obviously, again, that changed their offense when all that happened. But now they have Renfrow and Renfrow and Adams and Darren Waller. I think that the offense is going to hold up. And if a lot of your gripes might be defensively, I've got no counterpoint for that. And the stuff about overtime and backup quarterbacks, those are good places to look for regression. But I'm finding myself being maybe a little bit of a Raiders truther, at least offensively this year.
Well, and he talks about getting, Devontae Adams and adding in Chandler Jones. But he brings up an interesting point on the defense and said, adding Chandler Jones helps. But he said, Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, Rock Ya-Sin, guys that played the edge, weren't scrubs that were there. So they improved with Chandler Jones, but they didn't go from a negative to a now it's a huge positive. They went from they were pretty good to can they be even better with Chandler Jones, who is aging and who had 5.5 of his 10.5 sacks in week 1 last year. So are they that much better by spending that money? And then he talks about the offensive line being just atrocious and how bad it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that they spent first-round draft picks on Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Abram, Josh Jacobs, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, and Alex Leatherwood.
I mean, just a nightmare, man. Go through that list one more time.
Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Abram, Josh Jacobs, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood.
I don't know if there's one good pick in that group.
Leatherwood has been atrocious.
Yeah.
He lost his right tackle spot and
He's
right
a guard.
guard.
He was a guard.
He's been terrible.
He was a guard when they drafted him,
Yeah.
and he was always a guard.
Ruggs and Arnett aren't even
Yep.
in the league anymore for different reasons, but
also similar.
Yeah.
I mean, both
Similar
have
but
off
different.
the field.
It's
stuff.
off the field, but
Ruggs
yeah.
had a horrible thing, and Arnett's had a series of bad
decisions. And they did not pick up the 5th-year option on any of those 2019 first-rounders in Farrell,
Josh
Abram, and
Jacobs
Josh
is a really
Jacobs.
nice player, but you don't want to pay a running back that. I get it.
But Abram
Farrell
hasn't
was
been good.
overdrafted. Abrams was overdrafted too, I think, or at least overrated at some point.
Yeah, so
boy, goodness.
The
fact that the Raiders are as good as they are right now, despite all of that, is actually kind of an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the teams, that are going to decline. I should point out that the after the Raiders, the other two are the Pittsburgh Steelers and then the Atlanta Falcons. Even though they were 7-10 last year.
That makes sense.
But still. So
lost Ridley and their quarterback.
Flip side of the Raiders is looking at the teams that will improve this year. Number 1, he's got the Bills.
What's the logic? I thought the Bills were really good last year and they'll be really good again this year.
The logic is that in 2020 they went 13-3.
Uh-huh.
And he says the 2021 Bills were markedly better on a play-by-play and drive-by-drive basis across the board, offensively and defensively, yet they won 11 games. They went from being 4-1 in 2020 in close games to being 0-5 last year.
Wow.
In those close games, including, that's not even including the playoffs, in which the divisional round game in which they
that was
lost
close,
that one
right?
as
Was that
well.
one close?
It was a pretty close game.
Okay.
But if you're looking at he listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories from in just like advanced stats: DVOA, FPI, SRS, point differential, points for, points against, strength of schedule, and turnover margin.
I think at least one of those is a sexual disease.
That's exactly right. That would be DVOA. Turnover margin is the one. The strength of schedule is the one. So looking at all of those, the first number is 2020. The second number is where they were ranked in 2021.
Yeah.
4, 2, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1, 16, 1. 22nd toughest schedule, 32nd toughest schedule last year, 10, 7. They improved all of those.
All the way down the board.
Their advanced numbers were better, yet they lost or they won 2 fewer games.
Just some ball bouncing close game stuff there, I guess, is the logic.
And
then.
what he's saying is 11 wins. This team might be 13 or 14 wins this year, the Bills.
I was thinking about some like preseason prediction kind of stuff when I was
Mhm.
driving in today and was listening to the podcast I mentioned. And I think my only hang up on the Bills is it just doesn't seem like very often the actual best team of a conference ends up in the Super Bowl, which you could argue maybe has
Mhm.
happened to the Bills twice. I don't know. There's maybe a case to be made there. But man, just I am excited to see how their year unfolds, but they have to clear that hump at some point.
So the other one's there, and we'll take a break. But that one obviously relates to the Chiefs.
Very much so.
He's got Baltimore,
I think
which
that one is
certainly
a
relates to the
slam
Chiefs.
dunk.
He's got Denver, 7-10. That one of the top 5 teams that will improve the most. He's got them
Big
improving.
quarterback upgrade, but I think the rest of that roster is a little overrated.
And he pointed to some of the issues there that kind of like looking at what the Raiders were doing and winning, that the Broncos were the flip side, that they actually had some of those numbers that would result to a team that was around 10 wins last year. So now you take out the quarterback issues, you put in Russell Wilson, you get some of those same advanced metrics, then you're talking about a 3-game improvement. And then the Jaguars also.
Oh, okay. It was the Jags.
Yeah,
okay.
Jags.
I think the Jags and Colts could both be on that
there
list.
as well.
But
It's just that Raiders, he expects them to have a decline from 10 wins. And then Bills, Ravens, and Broncos, all in his top 5 of teams he expects to improve the most this year. Which is really interesting
AFC
because
is gonna be
the
a
AFC,
bloodbath.
and it's also interesting, and we'll take a break, but also interesting that somebody's got to lose in the AFC West.
Yep.
So when you're looking at DraftKings and the totals and looking at over-unders of wins, Chiefs 10.5, Chargers 10, Broncos 10, and Raiders 8.5. Like, out of those, somebody's got to lose some games in the division.
I want to take the over on 3 of those. I think.
They can't all be 11, 11, 11, and 9 like in the division. It's not going to happen. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next.
Sports Radio 810 WHB is your home for the Major League Baseball playoffs and World Series, NBA playoffs and finals, NHL Stanley Cup, college football playoffs and national championship, NFL Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night football, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl. Only on your locally owned, locally operated hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Well, speaking of those futures and the win totals, DraftKings Sportsbook starting September 1st, you're going to be able to bet on those win totals. You want to go over with the Chiefs 10.5? Yeah, sounds about right. I do the same thing. September 1st, you can go ahead and lay some shekels down, have a little bit more than a rooting interest for the Chiefs getting to at least 11 wins. DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, and all new customers are going to receive $100 in free bets when you sign up using code 810WHB, 810WHB. Plus, one lucky customer is going to win a $100,000 free bet. Again, $100 in free bets, and one lucky customer gets a $100,000 free bet. No deposit required. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code 810WHB to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, one customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's code 810WHB only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus, physically present in Kansas. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. One per customer. $100 issued as $425 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Kansas. See terms at dkng.co/ks.
Where'd you get that grin? Right above your chin.
Beat the summer heat with Andy's Peach Concretes and Sundaes. Vanilla frozen custard loaded with juicy peaches. And dive into our famous key lime pie concrete. We jam a whole slice of tart and tasty key lime pie in with fresh vanilla frozen custard. It's lime time, baby.
With a smile at Andy's, top your day. With a smile at Andy's, top your day.
Worried about gas prices and heard that none of the car dealers have inventory? Well, Shawnee Cycle Plaza has the solution for you. Shawnee Cycle Plaza has lots of motorcycles in stock, with many of them getting 40 to 100 miles per gallon fuel economy. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and CF Moto, all under one.
WHB. A little sports or leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, 913-381-810-810. Finish the show. A little trivia, having a little fun.
What are you eating right now?
Half of a cheeseburger that my daughter did not touch last night.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I'm chomping on a Baby Bell cheese.
Oh, good for you.
Like those guys.
Awesome. So, a little sports or leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Again, 913-381-810.
You would rather be eating?
Johnny's Tavern.
Damn right. I got the thing is a Dodge City Burger, it's called. Barbecue burger.
It's pretty good.
Oh. Onion rings and fries. You can get a mix of onion rings and fries. It's the best place in the world.
It's hard for me not to get the Nuclear Lucia and the Wilson wings when I go there. I just don't deviate from that often.
When I want to beat the summer heat, I head straight to Angie's Frozen Custard for their world-famous key lime pie concrete. And now, there's a new Andy's at the Blue Hawk Shopping Center at 159...
card to take $25 off the bill.
It really is affordable. You're going to be able to get a lot of good stuff for $25, or just swing through, and you're not going to regret that one bit.
Why would you go to Johnny's Tavern without a gift card when you could go to Johnny's Tavern with a gift card?
Because it's so good that you go often enough that eventually you burn through all your gift cards.
That's a good point, too.
That's the only answer I have. It's the only answer
But then
I've recently...
going, how do you get more gift
well, you
cards?
play Sports or Leisure on
That's
the
right.
Zone.
That's exactly
Thursdays at 1 o'clock.
It's the only way I
Call
can
in, you
think
get
of.
a sports question right, you get a leisure question right. Bada bing, bada boom, a winner is you.
I live real close to that Johnny's in Prairie Village, but the one I've gone to a lot recently is the one downtown because it's right across from T-Mobile Center. I've gone to a couple concerts down there.
Yeah.
Get down there a little bit early, when the parking is still kind of okay. Grab a bite, watch the game, have a couple of beers that are about half what they are inside T-Mobile Center.
Yes.
It's a good deal. I love that, Johnny.
Literally exactly what Renee and I did before the Kendrick show, which, by the way, Drake, I did want to mention, I didn't appreciate when you pretended not to know who I was whenever I ran into you at the Kendrick show. Really hurt my feelings.
Well, yeah.
So backstage?
No, just out there like, oh, hey, Drake, hey, Jason.
But I knew who Renee was.
Drake, Jason, Drake. And then he just turned and walked away.
Good for you. And good for you, Drake. Did you enjoy the concert, Drake?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
What have you seen recently, T-Mobile?
Imagine Dragons and the Lumineers.
Was that one show?
It was two shows about
really?
4 days
They're
apart.
both headlining T-Mobile Center?
Yes.
Lumineers surprised me a little bit. I know Imagine Dragons is huge.
Yeah, no, it was a really good show actually, and it was 85% full, I would imagine. It sounded great.
How about that? You did something similar, but you pre-gamed the Midland party at the 100-year celebration. You pre-gamed at Johnny's.
I did, yes. I pre-gamed at Johnny's for the Midland, and then also for Kendrick.
See,
if I need a pre-game situation at all, I just go to Johnny's now, and I love it.
That's right. You were in a completely different city and you just went to a friend named Johnny.
Yes.
And it was like, I just want a pregame at Johnny's.
Give me a pint. I think if you can serve a pint at the tavern, I don't know.
Don't care. All right, so again, how you play the game, you give us a call, 913-381-0810. You get a sports question, you get a leisure question. If you get them both right, you win. If you get either of them wrong, you lose. But the question is out there and available for someone to call in and request if they happen to know the answer or if they have taken the time to Google search it as well. That's fine. We don't give out the answer to the questions until we get a winner or we simply run out of time. So that is how you play the game. Also, ESPN is at least some news, fantasy purposes, that Michael Gallup will be on the 53-man roster to start the season. So there was some questions of whether or not he was going to start the season on the pup or whatever. But
the detail there of tore his ACL in January, started running routes this week. That's pretty medicine. Modern science.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
So those that were, fantasy football purposes with drafts coming up, we've got ours coming up on Saturday, that Michael Gallup will be on the 53-man roster for the Cowboys. All right, let's get into the categories. On the sports side categories, we have Royals rookies. We also have just general Major League Baseball. And we have NFL/Len Dawson questions. Cool. So I made it one category because we literally have 2 NFL questions. The other 7 are Len Dawson questions.
Awesome.
So Royals rookies, Major League Baseball, NFL, Len Dawson. What about on the leisure side, sir?
We have, first of all, I need to make I know this is an announcement that's going to really hurt some people. I have cut out Corey's sack of questions.
So it's just like when he got married. So that's one less category, at least, that we have.
So that one's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the categories now. We have the MCU. Intern Dylan still is the reverberations of his internship will last throughout centuries because he sent so many questions. So we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have the pun name game. We have the debut of what I am calling pretty easy Game of Thrones trivia. It's trivia you should be able to get if you've seen the show and followed maybe a little more than that. You don't need to tell me anything in high elfish or whatever. I don't know what the language is in Game of Thrones.
That would be the Pagat category. Pretty easy Game of Thrones trivia.
Yeah, you don't have to speak Dothraki, but you might have to know what Dothraki is. If I said what is, that is right on the line.
Okay.
And then we have a special category for today, just called Drake.
Okay.
It is not all about the rapper.
It's also about Drake.
It is because Drake is running the show the remainder of this week, and so this question involves Drakes.
And random questions about Drake University.
I did think about that, but I thought, you know what? Too much sports. So I went, these are famous Drakes.
Well, you don't have to have sports Drake University. You should be like, what's the address?
Tell you what, if you have that one off the top, if Drake knows that one off the top of his head, I'll be impressed.
2500 University, Des Moines, Iowa, 50311.
I'm impressed.
I wish you would have said, if Drake knows that, I'll give him $500.
See, I've started to be careful about saying, you can tase me or whatever.
Drake pulls that out, and all he gets from Briscoe is, I'm impressed.
I said I'd be impressed, and you know what?
I think that's the address of Old Main, the original building. But
it's now 2507. You can round down. That's okay.
Oh, it's got 7 more buildings?
That's all right. I see 20.
Well, it depends on what side
here.
of the street it's on.
Yeah. Hey, Drake, you're close. We call that within the margin of error.
Is that right?
I'm going to call that one a winner. I didn't know what state it was.
But a decent question would be, how many more Final Fours has Drake been to than Mizzou? Would that be a good one?
All right, well, you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
I'm going to sit over there. I'm going to move.
I'm out. Leaving.
Can I have your sports?
I will not stand for this.
All right, so now all the questions are all Pokemon. Sports. Pokemon's a sport. Those are the sports questions, and the leisure questions are just Mizzou slander.
They are all questions that will be asked with a sad face.
What is the average annual cost to attend Drake University? No, it's famous Drakes.
Okay, very good. All right, 913-381-0810. I am ready to go. Also, just caught off guard there for a second. So I'm ready to go. Briscoe, you ready to go?
I'm impressed and ready to go. Drake, you ready to go?
Drake,
you ready to go?
Sure.
Love it. It's not the feud, so it's much easier.
Hey,
All right, so let's start with Andrew, who leads us off on Sports Radio 810 WHB and Sports or Leisure on this Thursday, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Andrew, what side do you want to start with, sir?
I've got to start with Game of Thrones. I've been waiting for you guys to do one of these.
Okay. We're calling it pretty easy Game of Thrones trivia, but you sound pretty confident.
I do.
Who dreams of a three-eyed raven?
Bran Stark.
I mean, you are right. This is not even pretty
Too easy.
It's very easy.
That was a heat check, and he came in with confidence.
You should change it from Pagat to Vagat. Very easy Game of Thrones trivia.
I think Vagat was in season 6.
Vagat. All right.
Now look, I have like 100 Game of Thrones trivia questions here, and now I'm wondering if they're all too easy.
Onto the sports side, sir. We've got Royals rookies. We've got Major League Baseball. Then we have NFL / Len Dawson.
Have to go Len.
All right, very good. Game of Thrones, pretty easy Game of Thrones. We could follow that trend and just say, what team did Len Dawson play for when he won a Super Bowl? That would be roughly the level of what you had to do that.
Okay,
Look,
man.
I'm just joking with you.
That one was too. I understand it was.
All right,
too
so Len Dawson finished his career at Purdue as the all-time passing leader in yards and touchdowns for a career. Those records have since been passed a number of times over. But, just like Len Dawson, one player still holds the record for both of those categories. So who is it? Purdue history, one player, yards and touchdowns.
I have to say Drew Brees.
That is correct. See, that was a pretty easy Len Dawson trivia, right?
Yeah. That's. I
That
mean,
was
look.
Peldita.
It pays to be the first caller up.
Sometimes it
because
does.
sometimes we got to check the temperature of the room a little bit.
Sometimes it does. And it pays to play some sports or leisure. $25, in fact, to Johnny's Tavern. Andrew will put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Workman-like performance from Andrew.
A couple layups for him.
Came in, took care of business.
It was a quick little Mikan series. A little right-handed layup, a little left-handed layup, and then call it a day. You don't even have to do under the basket or anything like that. Just a one quick right-handed, one quick left-handed. Here's your $25.
TCOB.
That's right. Let's go to George next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. George, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Let's go Royals rookies.
Royals rookies, okay. So, all right. What rookie reliever holds the Royals record for most innings pitched without starting a game? And it is an absurd number.
Since it's a lot of innings, it's got to be older.
That's exactly right. Well-known reliever, just, I didn't realize that there were, it makes sense back in the day when you would bring somebody out of the bullpen who was really good, that, my goodness, man. It's just unheard of.
But he was a rookie and had a lot of innings.
Uh-huh.
Flash Gordon.
Was not Flash. George, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-3810810. That question is out there for the Royals rookies. And it is not Flash or Tom.
Or Jeff.
Or Josh.
I don't know if I have it. Or Alex. Poof. Got one. I always get nervous.
Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810. Ryan, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's go Len Dawson.
All right. Let's see. Len Dawson led the league in touchdown passes 4 times in his career. Only Tom Brady has surpassed that with 5 years leading the league in touchdowns. But Lenny is tied with 5 other quarterbacks to lead the league 4 different times. Let's start with 2.
I think 2 seems good.
2 seems good with 5. 2 of the 5 that have led the league in touchdown passes 4 different times in their career. Obviously not Brady.
Aaron Rodgers.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It is not A-Rod.
That's a pretty good guess.
It is not Aaron
But
Rodgers.
he's on another level.
Oh, great point. Ryan, thank you for playing, man. 913-3810810. I don't feel bad about the 2 as opposed to 1 Because
No.
he didn't even get the one right?
No, I think two's a good number.
Two's a good number. Okay, because they're, again, R5.
And none of these are dudes you've never heard of because they led the league in touchdowns 4 times.
Well, there's a guy named John Patowski. I never heard of that guy.
That one's
but,
confusing. That one is a
joking.
surprise.
No, everybody you have heard of here. Let's go to Avery. Next up on Sports Radio 810, Sports or Leisure, Avery.
Can I check out PGOT?
Check out what?
PGOT.
Sorry?
PGOT.
Oh, pretty easy. Sorry. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
The acronym was
Avery's-
Jason's creation.
Avery's calling in for, he's not looking for layups except for the
Sure.
PGOT.
So Melisandre, is that how you pronounce it? Foretells that Arya will kill someone with what color eyes?
Oh, wow. That's. Wow, you went from just name a character in Game of Thrones to.
win! What are the big dogs called?
I love judging Briscoe's questions. It's
what-
my favorite part of this game.
Why is Jon Snow's last name Snow?
Because he really likes the winter time.
I'm saying.
I mean,
He's preparing for winter.
It is not purple.
Oh, son of a gun.
Someone's gonna call in and nail that one now. I think that knows it, but
is
it's.
it blue? Because that's what the Night Kings
I
flag
can't.
was?
I unfortunately.
Yeah,
if I felt like you were really close, I might tiptoe
Typically,
with you. But
you have won every time. This is
Hey,
a
look.
I mean, he has though.
I know. I get it. That was a good. That was a good.
Yeah.
that was a good
Well,
one.
you know what?
You were
Next-
due for an L, Avery.
Yeah, but you know what? You'll get us next time.
Sorry that it was
somewhat difficult.
got kinda easy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Thanks,
yeah,
Avery. Appreciate
somewhat
it,
challenging.
man. 913-381-1010.
Yeah.
Sidigat. Sidigat.
I'm afraid I'm gonna accidentally curse if I keep this game up.
You might be cursing in a different language.
Dothraki,
Or
perhaps.
Dothraki. Let's go to Bobby next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Bobby, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Hey, what's up?
What is that, man?
Yeah, I would like to start with some Royals rookies.
Royals rookies. Okay, we got a question out there already about relief appearances, or we have about 10 fresh ones.
Let's go with a fresh one.
Okay, so you want a pitcher or a position player?
Ooh.
Even a couple different.
Let's go position.
All right. What batter struck out the most times in his rookie season? 158 strikeouts as a rookie. Buddy.
Yeah.
He's still pretty awesome, though. Still a favorite.
Salvador Perez.
That would have been my guess. I think that would have been my guess too, man.
Dang it.
I'm gonna go see what Salvi did in his rookie year. Strikeout
Bobby, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir. 913-381-1010. This is really bothering Mick Schaefer because this is not a day of everybody wins. This is a day of we've had Andrew, right? That's been the only winner, correct,
I
Andrew?
think that's right. So in his
what did Salvi have his rookie year?
So it's tough because baseball. So he played 39 games in his first year, and then 76 games in
That
his
would've been the
second first
So
year.
the second one would
so
be the.
if you wanted to combine those into about 120 games or so, you would end up with 47 strikeouts.
See?
Total. Those 2 years combined, that's 27 in his 76 games in year 2. That's
It wasn't until his fourth year in the league that he surpassed 158 strikeouts.
that's shocking.
Isn't it? This person did it in his rookie year.
In his All-Star 2016 season, Salvador Perez struck out 119 times.
Last year when he hit 48 home runs, he struck out 170.
170.
Well, interesting. Home run hitter with a lot of strikeouts.
Crazy.
I don't know. Kind of goes the same there. Let's go with Tim next up on Sports Radio 810. Tim, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's start with Game of Thrones Leisure.
Do you want that question or a different one?
I want a different one.
What is the last surviving dragon in Game of Thrones?
Oh, sweet baby infant Jesus.
That's actually the name. Well done.
You nailed it.
Nailed it.
You
Yes.
nailed
That was the original name, actually.
Yeah, but in the books, it was.
Was it like Valeris or something like that?
Oh, dang it.
That's what I thought.
I'm sorry, man. I want to apologize on Jason's behalf. He gave me so much bleep for the first one being too easy that now I'm
Tim.
now I'm like reading the book right now. I'm like on page 397 on
What's the first
George R.R. Martin's Songs of Dancing Eyes and Flames.
What do the two R's stand for? What does Martin stand for?
Hard question.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
See, these are now they've become, instead of pretty easy, they've now become somewhat difficult Game of Thrones.
I'm
trivia.
gonna.
It's my fault, Tim.
The next person's gonna get one that is outrageous.
fault,
It's just
Tim.
gonna be, hey, what?
Sorry about that.
What?
man.
What can you do with a sword? And the answer will be like, cut someone.
Briscoe is projecting onto you his frustrations with me.
Correct.
So I apologize
Correct.
to you and Avery.
I
'cause you guys don't
apologize.
deserve that.
I apologize to you and me.
And Avery.
And Avery.
There you go.
Now you got two of the difficult-ish ones out there. If you know the last surviving dragon or the eye color question, you can just swoop in and feel like a champion.
Okay, great. And it wasn't the name that he gave us?
It was not Infant Sweet Baby Jesus, unfortunately. No. Oh man. Or the other one he said.
Yeah. They did the study group on it first, and it didn't. It
got
didn't
really
perform
confusing.
Well. It didn't perform well.
Really, the timeline of the show became like. So is this after the birth of Christ? Is this?
Are they religious? Is people? I thought there were other things that they believed in different
Where
types
did the
of
Christian
gods.
God show up in this? Yeah, a lot of questions.
Interesting.
So they changed it. I'm not gonna tell you what the name they changed it to was.
Was Jesus able to turn a dodo into a dragon? Because water to wine thing he was able to do,
That's
but
easy.
what's the dragon thing?
How do you? Can he? But hey, did Jesus ever have a dragon? That's the real question here.
Great point. Let's go to Jim next up on Sports Radio 810. Jim, sports or leisure, sir?
I will. Hello, guys. Thanks for taking me.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll do Len Dawson for sports.
All right, Len Dawson, we've got one out there, and we also have some fresh ones.
I'll go with the fresh one because I didn't hear the one out there.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you the one out there, and then you can choose that one or a fresh one. So I'll give you that opportunity, too. So Len Dawson led the league in touchdown passes 4 times in his career. Only Tom Brady has done it more with 5 years leading the league. But Len Dawson is tied with 5 other quarterbacks to lead the league 4 different times. We wanted you to name 2. Aaron Rodgers was guessed earlier. That was not correct. You can have that one or a new one.
I'll pick a new one if you guys don't
All right,
mind.
very good. Let's go with. I really like this question. It might seem like it's more difficult, but I just love this question. So,
What is the name of the dragon that Lynn? Go ahead.
Actually, the answer to this one is going to be Sweet Baby Jesus, whatever it was.
All right, good.
I want to make sure. It might be a little more difficult, but I want to make sure I get this question asked. All right, since 1962. Of all the quarterbacks since then to attempt at least 2,200 passes, okay? At least 2,200 passes since 1962. Every quarterback that's ever lived that's done that. There are 2 quarterbacks tied for the highest touchdown percentage for their career at 6.4. Who are they?
Well, one of them's Len Dawson.
I was
Well
sure
done.
hope- I would
Thank
sure
you.
hope so.
That's why I wanted you to say both of them. So since it's a Lynn Dawson, not typically do you have a Lynn Dawson question that Lynn Dawson is the answer. It kind of is a giveaway.
Yeah, good.
Who is the other?
And I am so mad because I heard this yesterday, and it's a great question. Good Lord, who was it? I'm just going to guess Aaron Rodgers.
No. Don't guess it. Think back. Jim, we're going to walk ourselves through this. There's only one reason I was asked this particular question. I wouldn't care if it was any other answer except for the one that it is. Because it's just so amazing to think about. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's a Chief.
Just go ahead and
I
say
didn't.
the...
No one said. I
Yeah.
don't know the answer. I just think I have my guess now.
Joe Montana.
Damn it, Jim!
Jim, it's a strong 2 strikes and you're out policy.
Wait,
unfortunately.
No, now you know!
Cut him off! Cut him off! Hang up! Don't give it! You can't give it
No!
away! Sorry, Jim. I'm sorry I told Jason to hang up on you.
Thanks for playing. Oh, I thought he had it! I thought he
did
had
too.
it. Like,
I
there's
did
only
too.
one reason I would care about asking that question, right? Isn't that amazing?
It's an amazing Lynn Dawson question.
amazing-
It's an amazing Lynn Dawson fact.
Right.
And now the presumed answer to that question also pretty amazing, but I don't officially know the answer yet. so-
Unbelievable. Let's go to Luke next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports or leisure? Luke, what side do you want to start with?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can
What's
I
up?
do leisure, please? Game of Thrones?
Yeah, do you want one of the 2 that's out there about the dragon or the eye color, or a different one?
Can I get the eye color?
Yes. But
It's blue.
well,
Oh,
hold on.
I don't have the answers in front of
So
me. My name's
I-
Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Let me say this.
Say it.
It is blue, but it's not just blue.
Hold on, I got to think back. I read
Yep.
all the books.
Blues
I can't
Clues?
remember.
You'll get there. Yep. It's like think about Steve from Blue's Clues.
You're my boy, Blue?
So
Was
when
it icy blue?
when Melisandre meets Arya for the first time, the Red Priestess says, "I see a darkness in you, and that darkness, eyes staring back at me."
blue.
It is blue. Blue is one of the correct answers. There's my extra hint for you.
Like
It is.
Is it like royal blue?
No. Blue is sufficient.
Is it Carolina blue?
Blue is sufficient for 33% of this answer.
Is it Kentucky blue?
Of course. See, I thought I knew it. I can't remember the other two words.
Was it one word or two words? The other one is
pretty cold. Blue.
It's color eyes is in the question. It's someone with what color eyes, and blue eyes are on the list, but there are 3 answers.
Oh wow!
In the prophecy or whatever.
3. Oh,
There's dead. Is that one of them?
That's not a color.
Damn it. Well,
It
I
can
can't
be.
remember. I'll
Can
tell you
be.
what. I'll give up.
Luke, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it.
Here's the other thing. I almost didn't even do this category today until Beards was back because I thought I was going to need like some help. I've seen the whole show once.
Yeah.
So I am probably the wrong messenger for this. I just found this on the internet.
You should ask people like, okay, you want Game of Thrones? Do you want the pretty easy Game of Thrones trivia or the somewhat difficult Game of Thrones
He asked for
trivia?
the eye color question.
He did. I thought the answer was blue as well. I didn't know there was 3 different colors of blue. So
that's not exactly right, but you're pretty close.
Well, you said there were 3 answers.
There are
3 colors of blue.
They're not all colors of blue.
Oh. So there's just 3 different colors? And the eyes will be magenta, blue,
and death.
Sean next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sean, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
What is that, man?
I want to do that Lynn Dawson question. Are you looking for, like, other quarterbacks that have led the league for 4 or more years in touchdowns? Is that what you're looking for?
That's exactly right. Yes. So Lynn Dawson led the league in touchdown passes 4 times in his career. Yeah, just 4 exactly. I mean, it couldn't be.
Because Brady's the only one with more.
Brady's
right?
the only player with more. He's led the league 5 times in his career. But Lynn Dawson is one of 6 quarterbacks to be in second place with 4 years, and just 2 of the other 5 quarterbacks that have led the league in touchdown passes 4 times. And Aaron Rodgers was guessed, and he was not correct.
Okay. I'm going to go with Drew Brees.
That's one of them.
And then I believe I remember Johnny Unitas did it 4 straight years.
Well done.
Wow.
Well done, Johnny U. That kind of bookended, with Lynn Dawson. Johnny U, the earliest, and Drew Brees, the most recent. You want to throw some darts as to the other 3 are? As to who the other 3 are? Briscoe?
I was going to throw Peyton Manning out there. He had to do it opposite Brady. But
Peyton is 1.
And we're looking for 2 more still?
2 more.
Breeds would have been on my list.
And
Dan
he
Marino do it 4 times?
He did not. He
All
only
right.
did it, I believe, once.
I'm out.
Yep. Brett Favre.
Really? That
Mhm.
makes sense, I guess. He was chucking it.
And Stephen Young.
Also makes sense.
Also did that. On to the leisure side with Josh Briscoe, who never led the league in touchdown passes.
That's true. Categories again here. We have the Marvel questions, the pun name game. We have Game of Thrones trivia that is now objectively maybe not that easy, and then the Drake section.
Oh, man, I don't even know. I guess we'll just do the Drake.
See, that feels like that.
It's like a
we mark that-
potpourri.
We mark that one also.
It's like a potpourri of Drake.
Let's say this. Tim Drake is one version of which iconic DC Comics character?
You said Tim Drake?
Tim Drake.
Yeah.
I promise it's not. This is not a super deep cut. It's not.
I mean,
it's not. He's not one of the Penguin's henchmen or something. You know.
Oh, really? Huh.
Jason just Googled it.
Yeah.
I really haven't.
Yeah.
I'm not
I wouldn't have got it. I would have had 1,000 guesses, and I
Well,
wouldn't have got it.
like the most iconic DC character is Batman. You know Batman's secret identity. So pick a DC Comics character who's not Batman.
Maybe the Joker?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's, so let me restate the question. One version of which iconic DC Comics hero is what I meant to say.
Did you say hero? Because I don't know that you said hero.
I don't know that I did. Maybe I misspoke.
So the heroes being Batman and...
Robin?
How about that,
First try. First try. Good work. That's a winner right there. That's a winner. $25 Johnny's Tavern.
Sean, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. Appreciate it.
You get a hit for being brave enough to pick the Drake question.
You know what? That's a great point. He was the first one to ask the Drake question, so he gets 2 tries.
The grab bag situations are difficult.
Absolutely. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We've got a few questions that are out there right now. A couple of winners only so far on this Thursday edition. More Zone, Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. More next.
This is Andrew Bogish with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Prevagen. Am I in the minority here? I like baseball's new schedule format. First of all, it's about time every team plays on all the holidays and the other big dates on the calendar. But more importantly, playing every team at least once is great for selling the game, which MLB usually doesn't do that well. I'm Andrew Bogish.
Steve is a real Prevagen user and paid testimonialist.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I live in Austin, Texas. I work as a personal assistant.
May just be tuning in. We have Royals rookies, and we actually have two questions out there with Royals rookies right now. We have NFL/Len Dawson with a question out there about Len Dawson. And then we've got just regular Major League Baseball. What about on the leisure side, sir?
We've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have the pun name game, where answers are along the lines of Andrew Benintendi or Whitmare, A Field of Dreams, etc. And we have what was at one point pretty easy Game of Thrones trivia, which we have two out there right now that have created some losers about eye color and the name of the last surviving dragon. And then we have Drake, which is about famous Drakes and Drake-related things in honor of the Drake running the show this week.
Awesome. All right, to the phone lines we go. 913-381-0810. Lucas is next up on Sports Radio 810. Lucas, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Hey, can we start with Marvel?
Yes. Let's get a Marvel question into the mix today. This one sucks.
Cool.
Thor's hammer is named Mjolnir. Can you spell it?
Are you serious?
I don't even know if I want that to be your question. That's just one that Dylan put on here that I've been staring at now for like 4 weeks. If you would have been confident, I would have given it to you. Instead, I'll give you this one.
MJOLNIR.
Thank you, Drake. I can delete it off my sheet. That is correct. I will not make that your actual question, though. Here, sir. You can have who voices Groot and Rocket in the MCU?
What's his name? I know who he is. Vin Diesel.
That's one. That's Groot, and then who voices Rocket?
Rocket. I don't know. Here you ask for both. No.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, nice job. Yes.
Boom. Got it. There you go. That's a winner.
I was looking it up, and before I even pressed enter on Google, I remembered it. So I feel bad about having to look it up and just not actually thinking. So, lazy. All right, on to the sports side, sir. We've got Royals rookies. We got Major League Baseball, and then we have NFL/Len Dawson.
Yeah, can I take your Bo Jackson question?
I love that. I love that strategy. It's the best. All right, so what batter struck out the most times in his rookie season with 158?
Well, it actually was you telling me that you still really liked him, so that was how I figured it out. It was Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. My other hint was going to be he had some famous demonstrations after a strikeout that people liked. But yes, Bo Jackson. I love that strategy, by the way. It's a great way to get a guess in without being wrong on the guess if the guess is wrong.
Yeah,
like if he said, let me take that Bob Hamlin question. I'm like, I don't have one. All right, I know the answer to that. Let me take a fresh Royals question then. All right, that's a winner, right?
Yes, it is.
Boom. Lucas, well done.
You didn't even have to spell Mjolnir.
That's right. Lucas, hold on. We'll get your information. Thank you, sir. And he gave us what will be a cut for tomorrow. Thor's hammer is named Mjolnir. Spell it. Are you serious? Unfortunately, sir, he was. Unfortunately, I am. Let's go to, let's see who's up next. Jay, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jay, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, bud?
Can I take that dragon question?
Yes, the name of the last surviving dragon of Game of Thrones.
Drogon.
Boom.
Awesome. Well done. We
Confidence, I love it.
We talked about in the break, we would have also taken Bruce Lee.
That would have been the only other acceptable answer.
The Last Dragon. All right, on to the sports side, Sarah. We've got Royals rookies, we've got Major League Baseball, and then we have NFL/Len Dawson, which is 2 questions about just general NFL, and then also Len Dawson.
I'll do one of the NFL ones.
All right. How about a subcategory? We have a Chiefs-specific NFL one and just a regular generic NFL one.
Hey, tell me somebody. Give us a player you know a lot about, and we'll drop a question for you.
Because he may not be a Chiefs fan and just say, well, let me get just regular NFL.
I would go probably more recent Chiefs people. That's what you got.
Okay, so let's go with this one. 3 Chiefs players have recorded at least 8 sacks their rookie season. It ties into what we were talking about the other day, Briscoe, when we were looking at players that had double-digit sacks.
Yeah.
And then okay, well, what's the Chiefs record for sacks in a season? And we're like, wow, there have been 3 players that have at least 8. So can George Karlaftis get there? So who are the 3 players to have at least 8 sacks as a rookie in Chiefs history?
You need all 3 of them?
Well, I mean, one of them should be pretty easy.
All right.
He kind of was known for sacking the quarterback.
Is one of them Derek Thomas?
DT has the record with 10.
I'll take a flyer on Tamba Hali.
He has 8. So now there's a player right in the middle of DT and Tamba Hali that had 9.
I've got a great hint that I'm going to give you if you don't immediately get this one.
Well, then that would be smart for him to just delay if he knows that he's going to get a hint. That would make
that
no
was
sense
my
for
way
him
of saying that I wanted to give out the hint.
No, I don't want a hint. Let me just go ahead. I'm not going to delay it at all. I'm just going to throw out a name here. Joe Valerio. Damn it! I was so close. I thought I really was going to have it.
Nice player.
Do you feel like you have a good guess here, or do you need some more time to mull it over?
Might need to mull it over a little bit more.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Thank you, Jason. I just stared at Jason in silence until he got it.
Okay. You need to mull it over. You need to mull it over.
I wasn't going to say it a second time. My hints are sneaky.
You got to mull it over.
Jared Allen.
Yeah, nice job, Jared Allen. Well done. DT with 10, Jared Allen 9, Tamba Hali 8, and Karlaftis 15. Isn't that crazy? He's going to get to 15, which would be the record for rookies in the NFL since stats became official. So how about that?
That's
a
winner. That's a dub.
Boom. Jay, well done. Put you on hold. Get your information. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. That is now 4 winners. So how about that? We had 2 the entire first segment. Second segment, boom, back to back. We've got 2.
I think you either want to bat lead off or you wait and start lurking until the questions start coming out,
You know, like the middle ground?
That second, 2, 3, 4 spot in the lineup is tough.
Yes.
We're still feeling out how difficult these questions are supposed to be.
Well, we thought they were somewhat easy.
I thought so.
Let's go to John next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
NFL.
All right, NFL, we've got 1 question left in NFL. Speaking of the sacks, since sacks became an official stat in 1982, there have been 5 players to record at least 13 sacks their rookie year. Name all 5. No, name one. Name one. Name one. At least 13 sacks their rookie year since 1982. Name one. Out of the 5.
Give me that question again with 13 sacks.
Yep, since 1982, there have been 5 rookies. 5 rookies since 1982 have at least 13 sacks their rookie year. Name one of the 5 rookies. So pretty much the 5 players with the most sacks their rookie season, which the record is 14 and 14. And then 14, and then 13, and 13, and 13 for the record for sacks by a rookie, which is why I said Karlaftis is going to get 15 and break the record. So any of the 5. Who?
Javon Curse.
Well done, the record holder, Javon Curse.
Oh, very good.
He's got 14 and a half. Javon Curse, well done. Not only did you get one, you got the number 1 guy.
That's good.
The other 4 being Alden Smith had 14.
Good grief, really?
And then last year, Micah Parsons had 13. Dwight Freeney had 13. And Reggie White had 13.
Wow.
So there you go. Those are the 5 players. And then Leisure now, right?
Yeah, so do you want to go Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Pun Name Game, Game of Thrones, or Drake?
Are you still with me?
Yep, absolutely, John. One more. You get a Leisure question right, what those categories are, and you get $25.
Wait, what was which one? I can't do the Marvels. How about what other question I can get? What was the option?
Let me give you a pun name game one here.
Yeah, you can get this one.
I think this one will be okay as long as you've listened to a little bit of this show, just well enough to know somebody here. You'll get a good start.
As long as it's not a Marvel question.
No superheroes on this one. This host of The Zone sure does love his numbers, but he's not as nerdy as you'd think. The dark underbelly of his life is chronicled in this FX drama revolving around an outlaw motorcycle gang.
Oh, I got it. Yes.
You got it in 5 seconds. It can't. I don't think this is the degree of difficulty. This is too high.
So
what was the question again?
Yeah. So you're combining 2 things. So it says this host of The Zone. Well, there's one of them, and an outlaw motorcycle gang TV
From an
show.
FX TV show.
Well, you think sure.
Jason Anderson's.
That's your name.
Oh. Of.
Jason Anderson?
That's the first half.
Mm-hmm. What's
And
the
then
FX TV show that's with a biker gang that would start with the last part of Jason Anderson? Jason Anderson.
Biker show. FX. I can't think of the name of it. I know I've seen it, but Outlaws or
Son.
Yes, work from the back half of Jason's last name.
Yeah, Anderson and then Son.
Oh, Sons of.
Yeah. Ann.
Sons of.
Ann.
Ann.
Anna.
Emma.
Anar.
Anarchy.
Yeah. Jason Anderson's of Anarchy.
Yes, that was close, Josh.
I got close.
You were close as well.
I was so excited.
You got it wrong as
But
well.
you got
Here's
it.
your question. Hey, John, we'll put you on hold. Get your information. Well done, sir.
Jason
Absolutely.
Sons of Anarchy. You're welcome, Jason. You have a pretty punnable name I've figured out, so this might be a recurring theme.
That's true. Yeah, so that makes it really just all you've got to think about is anything that starts with Son.
The next one is going to start with like this less handsome host of The Zone. It's gonna be you. It's gonna be you again. If you didn't catch that.
This host of The Zone, which also is a frustrated curse word, that by calling somebody is actually an insult to their mother. Yeah, Jason, son of a.
Thursday night, it's the
Jayhawk fans. Season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are on sale for as low as $185. We need you in the booth waving the wheat this fall and supporting Coach Leipold and the Jayhawks. Get your tickets now at kuathletics.com/tickets or by calling 800-34-HAWKS.
To the end zone, he's in. Touchdown, Jayhawks.
Ready to change your life? Get a smile you'll love to the moon and back. Expert orthodontist Dr. Moon and his friendly team use the latest technology to make your journey fast, precise, and affordable. They invite patients of all ages to experience warm orthodontic care in a family-friendly atmosphere, serving all ages in Olathe and Overland Park while offering the latest technology in orthodontic care. It's Moon Orthodontics. Revolutionize your smile with a free consultation. Visit moonortho.com.
Every year past the age of 30, we lose 1% of our flexibility and range of motion. I can tell you from experience, those numbers don't lie. My head and my heart tell me I'm still 30, but my body tells me a different story. And I found the trained practitioners at Stretch Zone to help me with my body's flexibility and movement. My weekly stretching program keeps me running, playing, and moving the way I want to without pain and stiffness. If you feel like your flexibility is holding you back, check out StretchZone.com.
Worried about gas prices and heard that none of the car dealers have inventory? Well, Shawnee Cycle Plaza has the solution for you. Shawnee Cycle Plaza has lots of motorcycles in stock, with many of them getting 40 to 100 miles per gallon fuel economy. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and CF Moto all under one roof at Shawnee Cycle Plaza. Don't ride motorcycles, still save on gas with their large selection of specialized turbo and Yamaha Power Assist bicycles. Only at Shawnee Cycle Plaza. Call 913-349-6900 or ShawneeCycle.com.
ICON is seeking healthy, non-smoking men and women ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Women must be of non-childbearing potential. Volunteers must be available for one stay of 5 nights and one follow-up visit. Qualified participants may receive compensation up to $4,500 for study-related time and procedures. Call ICON today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
Listen up, Kansas. DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Sunflower State. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $100 in free bets when you sign up using code 810WHB. Plus, one lucky customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $100 in free bets just for signing up today. No deposit required. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code 810WHB to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, one customer will win a $100,000 bet. That's code 810WHB only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus, physically present in Kansas. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. One per customer. $100 issued as $425 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. And first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Kansas. See terms at dkng.co/ks.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city with fast, affordable shipping. Introducing USPS Connect Local. You want speed? We deliver same or next day. You want savings? We give you supplies at a flat rate. You want less legwork? We do free pickups. Move your local business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSConnect.com/local. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day or next day delivery expected, but not guaranteed with entry close to final destination.
All right. One more segment to go. 913-381-810.
Don't call in. We're done. We're not taking calls anymore.
That would be the phone number for
next week.
Yes. Or the program.
Sure.
If you want to call in and get on hold for the program.
Talk to Adam.
You also won't be able to do that because the phone lines are X'd out. So don't do that. All right, 913-381-810. Let's get to the final couple of contestants that we have. Let's go to Ross next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ross, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Well, let's go with sports. Do you still have the Dan Quisenberry question?
Let's
well done.
get it.
Well done.
Just give him the bell.
You know what? What rookie reliever holds the Royals record for most innings pitched without starting a game?
We'll go with Quiz.
Hey, well done. How did you get that one?
Incredible.
75 appearances, 128 and a third innings pitched for a reliever his rookie year.
A lot of starters don't do that.
Exactly.
Crazy.
I need to look back and see the last starter for the Royals that got 128. All right, on to the leisure side with Josh Briscoe.
Do you want the Drogon question? Just kidding, that one's gone. Marvel pun name game, Game of Thrones, Drake.
I think my best chance is going to be pun name game.
Okay. Nobody ever asked me for my music questions, but you should probably know who this person is. He was in Kansas City for a tour on Sunday. We talked about it this hour. But you also certainly should know him from songs like Humble and from the fact that he founded the AFL, the Dallas Texans / Kansas City Chiefs, and then named the Super Bowl, among other things.
Kendrick Lamar Hunt.
Nice job.
There
well
we
done.
go.
And somehow you combined Kendrick Lamar and Lamar Hunt.
I'm the first one ever to make that connection, and I did it here today in the zone. You witness history. That's a winner right there. Boom.
By the way, to put into perspective of what Quisenberry did with 100...
I'm looking at the clock and getting nervous about you saying you're going to put something in perspective in 2 minutes.
128 and a third innings his rookie year. That would lead the Royals in innings pitched right now.
Good
Brady
Lord.
Singer has thrown 117 innings.
Good grief. That is incredible.
Quisenberry threw 128. Oh, it is a different world. That's a winner, right?
That's a winner.
Ross? Absolutely.
That is a winner.
Ross will put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. All right.
Thank you.
$25, Johnny's Tavern. And wrapping us up, Chris, let's see if we can get a walk-off. Chris, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Let's try sports.
All right, we've got Royals rookies. We've got Lynn Dawson questions, and we have Major League Baseball.
I guess Lynn Dawson.
Okay, so we have a question already out there. You know what? I'm going to ask this one because I think it's an easy one, and it's going to be a layup for you. Since 1962, of all quarterbacks to attempt at least 2,200 passes, okay? So since 1962, you had to be a player that threw a decent number of passes. There are 2 quarterbacks tied for the highest touchdown percentage for their career with 6.4. I ask who are they, and then also to let you know that Lynn Dawson was already guessed correctly. So it's Lynn Dawson and tied with another quarterback, and the guesses there were Aaron Rodgers, and we said, nope, there's only one reason I would ask this question, which just ends up being an amazing stat. And they said, is it a Chief? And we said, yes. And he said, Joe Montana. We said, damn it, that's wrong, too. So who would you like to go with, Chris?
I'm going to throw a dart and say Patrick Mahomes.
Well done! Well done!
Great work.
Amazing. Since 1962, of all quarterbacks to attempt at least 2,200 passes, the 2 quarterbacks tied for the highest touchdown percentage for their career at 6.4 is Lynn Dawson and Patrick Mahomes.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
Leisure side.
I love that question so much I want to tell it my secrets in bed.
You can go Marvel Cinematic Universe, pun name game, Game of Thrones, or Drake.
Let me try a pun name game.
Okay, this NBA superstar wanted out of Brooklyn, but he's apparently staying now. But just imagine how good he'd be if he also had the NBA's best unibrow.
Kevin Durant-Anthony Davis.
Nice job.
Confidence,
nice job, Chris.
surgical,
See, that's a guy who
excellent.
knows the game. Knows the game, knocked it out. Chris, well done. We'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. Nice job. $25 to Johnny's Tavern.
Jason, you want a bonus pun name game here just for you?
I just want to make sure that all the questions that I asked were answered.
I'll read it while you do that.
Then I won't be able to hear it if I'm looking through questions.
You can't multitask. You're a radio host.
I typically only listen to things.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right.
This is the president. This is a more mixed style of the pun name game.
Okay.
The president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Okay.
The one of the biggest artists in the world right now, who I saw on Sunday. The founder of the AFL.
Now I gotta,
and in a 1990s movie starring Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin.
Oh, I like it. I just want to write it down so I get it.
I think I'm technically leaving an article out in there, so don't get hung up on a the. Okay.
Bob Kendrick Lamar Hunt for Red October.
Thank you very much. That's the
awesome.
Were
you actually going to ask somebody that?
No, I was just sort of tinkering with it. I thought if nobody took Kendrick Lamar Hunt today, that next week I might get it out there. But today
because you could have gone Kendrick Lamar a couple of different ways, like Bob Kendrick Lamar or Kendrick Lamar Hunt.
I was going to build back and find a Bob. There's a lot there. Let me give you the answer on the Game of Thrones question that nobody fully ever got right. The prophecy here is I see a darkness in you, and in that darkness, eyes staring back at me.
We still don't have the color of the eyes?
Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. So it's 3 different eye colors.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know, man. It was a Game of Thrones question.
Hold on. You're supposed to be worried about a prophecy that something's going to kill you.
You're going to kill them.
Okay. With either brown eyes, blue eyes, or green eyes.
Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes.
Watch
eyes.
out. Beware of the man with the brown eyes or green eyes or blue eyes. He shall kill you. That man, remember, it will be a man who has brown or blue or green or hazel.
Or a woman.
It might also be a woman or a child.
Forever. She was going to kill those
could
people
be a
with
dog
those 3
too.
color eyes.
Could be a bear. Just watch your back is all I'm saying.
Just watch your back. Tell you what, if I see a bear with like perfect blue eyes, I'll start getting worried. That feels weird to me.
You mean the old Russian saying you ran from the wolf and you ran into the bear?
I'd rather run into a bear than another segment of this show.
For NFL action, there's